close the doors of your mind from all carnal will, all carnal thought, all emotions, all desires, all fears, all laziness, all doubt, all demonic thought, all jealousy, all envy, all complaining, all pride, all arrogance, all things within the center of yourself that allows you to lose your mental faculties and to allow your seven celestial circle, your seven mental faculties, your seven near on your yark to dampen and to lose light. For today is the day of freedom. Today is the day of a Shabath that Yahuwah has given to us in this new 364-day cycle as a gift. That one may be able to walk in newness of life, that one may be able to walk in newness of heart, and that one may pay attention to the light or frequency from the highest Shamaim above the seven heavens, above the 13th Shamaim, above all celestial bodies and the celestial stars, above all understanding and all wisdom. Yahuwah Elohim, who sits on his throne with his Ben Yahusha, his son, his Ban, his son Yahusha at his right hand, to help govern all the seven celestial circles, the seven periods, and the seven heavens. He gives life and understanding to our inner man and our inner being and our inner thoughts and our inner mind and our inner hands and our feet, which control the rest of our body. He gives control and understanding to our 12 melanin centers, our 12 manners of fruit, our 12 cranial nerves, and to our heart and our mind and our two shoulders and our neck, in our lower back, in our frontal lobe, in our cranial, and I say in our cranial nerves and our frontal nerves within ourselves. So we look at ourselves as that inner being, that inner thoughts that need Yahuwah. For we don't want to be a being that doesn't need him. If we want to become a being that doesn't need him, then he becomes a God Elohim, a God that don't need us. For we look at ourselves as that inner being, we look at ourselves as that light, that ore that gives life to our understanding to ourselves, within ourselves. So as we move forward in kindness, ahab, joy, patience, meekness, temperance, gentleness, and self-control. But we don't want to lose our self-control within ourselves, because we lose our self-control within ourselves, then we'll find ourselves subject to Satan and his gang and his spirits, and you will find yourself doing erratic things that you never thought you would ever do or go back to. So we look at ourselves as that being that needs Yahuwah continually, right? So this is the book of go through this. This is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 3. Jeremiah chapter 3, verse 1. Jeremiah chapter 3, verse 1. Jeremiah chapter 3, verse 1. And it says, if a man, divorces his wife, and she goes from him and becomes another man's wife, will he return to her? Right? So he says, in the ESV it says, will he return to her? Right? So we look at all this, you say, why? Right? So that word for Jeremiah chapter 3, verse 1, that word for divorces in Jeremiah chapter 3 and verse 1, so I don't have nothing written up, so I'm going through this. It says right here, the word for put away is shelach. It says divorces, that word for divorce is shelach. It means to what? To cast away, to forsake. It also means to send. Right? So if he's sending a woman, a man who sends a woman and sends a woman from him, that is a divorce, right? He sends her from him, and she becomes another man's wife. Will he return to her? Right? Will he return? Right, we read in the book of Shaphatim, the pretender who came from his house, and his wife left and went back to her father's house, and he returned to her to come and to get her. But guess what happens? Would not the land be greatly polluted? Now she became another man's Isha. He says, wouldn't she be greatly polluted? Right? He said, why would he say that? Why would he say greatly polluted? The word for polluted in that same verse is kanef, right? Or kanaf. It means what? A moral sense, to pollute, profane, greatly defile, to soil. Right? You ever had soiled clothes before? Clothes that ain't been washed or cleaned? Things that haven't been rightly purified within yourself? He said they're going to be like that. It says, will not the land be greatly soiled, polluted? And what he said, you have played the harlot, the whore, with many lovers. And will you return to me, declares Yahuwah? Now you see what Yahuwah is saying. He said, would you return to me? Because he was saying, shall a man return to her? If she becomes another man's wife? If she becomes the husband to another man? He said, would not that be greatly polluted? And then Yahuwah's like, would you return to me? After you've been with many lovers? Because I'm not coming to you. That's how Yahuwah thinks. I'm not coming to you. Because you already done went and been with a whole bunch of other people. He's like, I'm not coming to you. He said, you played the whore with many lovers, and will you return to me, declares Yahuwah? Lift up your eyes and bear height to the bare heights and see. So you got to see this. You say, why you got to see it? Because it's just like your iron. He said, and see. Right? But that word for see in that verse is ra'ah. He's saying, he says see. It says ra'ah. Because we know ra is evil. Right? But he said, behold the evil. He said, see your evil. That's what that word means, ra'ah. It means behold the evil. Right? And see your evil. He's saying, behold and see your evil. Right? Notice he got a ha at the end. But all this is a part of it. He said, behold and see your evil. Because if you don't see your evil, how you going to see what you're doing? And like Yahuwah say, shall you return? Shall you return to me? And then what it says. Verse 2 says, lift up your eyes, your ra'ah, and lift up your eyes to the bare heights and see your evil. And where have you not been ravished? Where have you not been, how you say, touched, ravished, right? He said, where have you not been what? Ravished, right? Right? But also that word for ravish, where have you not been what? Shagal, to be lean or copulate. That's what that word means. Shagal, it means language. It means to copulate, which means to what? When you say copulate, that means intercourse. He said, where have you not shagal? Right? But it said right here, lift up your eyes to the bare heights and see. Where have you been ravished? By the waysides you have sat awaiting your lovers. He said, you sat awaiting all your lovers. Like an Arab in the wilderness, Arab in the wilderness, right? That's what it says in ESV, Yirmiyahu 2. He said like an Arab in the wilderness, right? So that word for Arab is Arabian. It says an Arab. It says like an Arab in the wilderness. And it says right here, you have polluted the land with your vile whoredom. He said you polluted the whole land. It's just like when you sow seed in the ground. But if the soil is messed up, right? So you look at the soil ain't really been cultivated. The soil ain't got no nitrogen in it. Like you talk about putting nitrogen-rich and oxygenated-rich plants in it. They haven't been purified, the soil or anything like that. He said, what type of production will you have? And it says, verse 3 says, therefore the showers have been withheld. So he's like the showers. Like we just went into the new 364-day cycle. So we look at the showers, the first and the latter rain, we need that. He said the showers have been withheld and the spring rain has not come. He's like, the spring rain ain't come. Why? Yet you have the forehead of a harlot, a zanah, a whore. You refuse to be ashamed. He said, because we're in the summertime, early summer, and now we're moving towards when everybody's out, everybody's getting ready to come outside, all the plants getting ready to show off, the white flowers, the botanical gardens, everybody's getting ready to be at the shoreline, all these things ready to happen, and you got the wrong mindset. You was like, you got the wrong mindset, and all this stuff getting ready to come out, and you talking about going out here, and you got the wrong mindset. That's the wrong mindset. Because if you start thinking about your life, how many times during the springtime or the times when it came up, you had the wrong mindset and you went into it with the wrong mindset and you got into some trouble and did some things you ain't supposed to be doing. And that's the whole point of this. Because your mindset has to, your forehead of a harlot, a harlot. That word for forehead, we're going to get out of this verse. The word for forehead is, you have a mesak. It means what? To be clear, that is a conspicuous forehead, a brow, an impudent, right? It says conspicuous forehead, right? So you say, what does conspicuous mean, right? Because we say, why is he saying we have a conspicuous forehead, right? So these are all the words that they put in here, right? But here we go. That word for conspicuous, it means what? Easily seen or noticed, attracting attention, or obvious, right? It says that's just what you're doing. You're attracting attention. It can refer to something striking or prominent, or a person who is noticeable, right? So you trying to be noticed. He said you trying to be noticed with this mindset. Why you want to be noticed with the forehead of a zina, a whore? And you refuse to be ashamed. And we're coming in the summertime, 364-day cycle. Everybody money going up, the finances going up, the sun coming out, everything's going. He's saying, what are you getting ready to do right now? He said the showers have been withheld. Right? Verse 4 says, have you not just now called to me, my father? You are a friend of my youth. Will he be angry forever? Will he be indignant to the end? Behold, you have spoken, but you have done all the evil that you could. He's like, you're doing everything you possibly can to fulfill this, but then you call on my name like you want me. You know, it's like in a relationship. You out here with all these other people, with these other men, or these other women, right? Not saying that because a man can't have multiple ishas, but we're talking about you're not giving me no attention, and you giving all this attention to somebody who's not even a part of your household, right? Or part of you in a relationship, or a woman. You out here being with a whole bunch of men. You calling to me because that's why he always compared Yasharal and Yehuda to two women that he didn't love him, but for some reason they go and be with everybody else, and then they want to call my name and call me like I'm supposed to save them from all that stuff that they doing. And that's how Yahuwah was thinking, right? That's how he thinks. But there's a reason why we went there. There is a reason, right? So this is the book of Bereshit, Genesis, chapter 1. Actually, Bereshit, Genesis, chapter 1, verse 20. Actually, 1 to verse 26. 126. And it says right here, then Elohim said, let us make Adam in our image and likeness, and after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the birds of the shamayim, over the birds of the shamayim, over the livestock, over the behemoth, and over all the earth, and every creeping thing, the remes that creeps on the earth. So Elohim created man, Adam, in his own image. In the image of Yahuwah Elohim, he created him. Male and female, he created them. Right? He made you in his image and likeness. And you say, I ain't in no image, I'm not in the image of no four-footed beast. Right? You say, I'm in the image of Yahuwah Elohim. I'm not in the image of a fish. I'm in the image and likeness of Yahuwah. I'm not in the image of both men with men and women with women. I'm not in that image and likeness. Right? Just like you talk about, I'm not in the image and likeness of another human being on the earth. Yeah, you can create yourself as an image and likeness of a human being, or a teacher, or a pastor, or another woman. You can create yourself as an image. Say, when you gonna be in the image and likeness of Yahuwah? Because you exchange the image of Yahuwah for mortal man, and mortal man has flaws. For you to be in the image and likeness of somebody else and be birthed after history, you done left the image and likeness of Yahuwah. Right? And it says right here, so Elohim created man in his own image, in the image of Yahuwah Elohim, he created him, both male and female. He created them. And Elohim baraked them and said, be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth and subdue it. That's the only way you're going to do it. That's why you need a female. You need a woman to actually subdue it. You need a woman, a feminine side, in order to do that. So why would he say you need both male and female? Because how are you going to subdue the earth when the earth is feminine? Right? How are you going to understand that? Look at the world. You plant seed into the world, and it creates all this. It's a feminine form. How are you going to do that? Be fruitful and multiply, fill the earth and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the birds of the Shamayim, and over every living thing that moves on the earth. And Elohim said, behold, I have given every plant yielding seed that is on the face of the earth, right, on the face of the earth, and every tree that with seed in its fruit, you shall have them for food. So you look at all the things that sprouts in the earth, right? Anything that produces fruit, or anything that produces fruit, is feminine. Feminine trees, berries, right? Things that come up from the ground. This is all a feminine action. These are all things that females do, women do. A man can produce it too, but it is being his actions. But we look at ourselves, look at the things that the earth is a feminine form. And it says what? And to every beast of the earth, and to every bird of the Shamayim, and to everything that creeps on the earth, everything that has a breath of life, in the Shama Ruach, right? I have given every green plant for food. Right? So he's literally laying the foundation. Now he say, I give every green plant, and I have given every green plant for food. And it was so. He says for akla, right? It's food, right? And it was so. And Elohim saw everything that he had made, and behold, it was very good. Meo Tauv. And he says they were evening and morning the sixth day. There's a reason why. Right, you look at all of that, right? So going to Bereshit, Genesis chapter 3, verse 1. Bereshit chapter 3, verse 1. It says, now the serpent was more crafty than any other beast of the field that Yahuwah had made. And he said to the woman, did Yahuwah, Elohim, actually say you shall not eat of every tree of the garden? Right, because that's what he gave us for food. Right? Did he say anything about eating? He said any tree of the garden. Did he say anything about eating anything else to Adam and Kuhl? No. He only talked about the food that he was talking about. He was going to give you the trees. And the woman said to the serpent, we may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden, but Yahuwah Elohim said, you shall not eat of the fruit of the trees that is in the midst of the garden, neither shall you touch it, lest you die. He said, neither shall you touch it. Why? We may eat of the fruit of the trees in the garden, but Yahuwah said, ye shall not eat of the fruit of the tree that is in the midst of the garden. Why would he say that? Right? In the middle of the garden. Why would he say that? Neither shall you touch it, lest you die. He said, don't you do it, lest you die. But the serpent said to the woman, you shall not surely die if you eat from the tree that's in the midst of the garden, in the middle of the garden. Because there's something in the middle that he don't want you to touch. He don't want you to eat it. Why? And then what he says, for Elohim knows that when you eat it, your eyes will be open. He say what? So if you eat from the tree that's in the midst of the garden, then your eyes will be open. Your ayin. Oh, you mean your eyes? You know how to say eyes. Plural. He say plural. Yeah, your 7 eyes gonna be open. And the last thing you need is your 7 eyes open with the wrong mindset. Because we just read in Yirmiyahu, he said you got your eyes open, but your eyes open with the wrong mindset. You say eyes wide open, 7 eyes. And it says right here, and you will be like Elohim, knowing good and evil. You're gonna be like gods. You're gonna be gods knowing good and evil. That's what Satan's whole mind is. You're gonna be like gods, eating from the midst of the garden. So the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was a light to the eyes, and that the tree was to be desired to make one wise. She took it its fruit and ate, and she also gave some to her husband, who also was with her, and he ate. And the eyes of both were open, and they knew that they were naked. He said, you knew your flesh. You found out about who you are. You found out about your jealousy, your envy, your strife, your dissension, your rivalries, your adultery, your fornication. You found out about your forehead. You found out about, hey, I got the wrong mindset now. I mean, I got the mindset of a harlot. I found out about so many things, lying, all these behaviors that destroy myself. I know how they found out about it. And it says, and they sewed fig leaves together and made themselves loincloths, right? So we went there too for a reason. Right, so this is the book of Proverbs, chapter 6. Proverbs, chapter 6, verse 6, verse 1. Marshally, Proverbs chapter 6, verse 1. It says, my son, he said, Adam, if you have put up security for your neighbor, have given your pledge for a stranger, if you are snared in the words of your mouth, caught in the words of your mouth, then do this, my ben, my son, and save yourself, for you have come into the hand of your neighbor. He's like, what? He said, you come into the hand of your neighbor. He said, you caught with your tongue. Just like the serpent was in the garden. The serpent was pretending that he was sincere. And he was caught in his tongue. Because he was talking the whole time. He was caught. And guess what happened? He said, what he said? You fall in the hand of your neighbor. He's like, look what you just did. You just deceived your neighbor. You just deceived that child, that mother, that father, that man, that woman, that husband, that wife. He said, what? Go and hasten and plead urgently with your neighbor. He said, plead for what? Why you gotta plead? Because we know when we ate from the tree in the midst of the garden, we found out what good and evil is. This is a good and evil situation right here. We ain't know that. Adam ain't know this at the time. He said, I ain't know nothing about none of this. But guess what happened? Give your eyes, oh, there we go. You know how we always talking about seeing your eyes? Because we always want to go to sleep when things need to be done. Just like he told Adam, he said, it's a night. Didn't he tell him? When he said, give your sleep to your eyes, which means what time is this? We're talking about nighttime. We're talking about second and third watch time. He's like, don't give sleep to your eyes. Don't give your eyes no sleep. And your eyelids no slumber. Why do you think Yahushua came to them and told them? He said, you can't pray with me for 1 hour? He said, take your rest. Right. Save yourself like a gazelle from the hand of the hunter. Because you know what happens when you do these things? Here comes Satan, Abunalit, Aldi, Adal, Alphras, Beelzebub. Because they hunting you. He said, what do you mean hunting me? Well, they hunting you. You give off a good scent. Because they coming for you in the night. They come in the second, third watch. Succubus and Ichabus. They coming for you. Lilith. Why? Because they're gonna come for you. Autoleaf. He said, why are you saying these are all different beings out here? Mustama, Abyb, right? Gaum, Atrax, right? It's all types of beings out here. But it said right here, so the hunter, like a bird from the hand of a fowler, but they coming. This is not a game. And people say, oh, it's not a game. Yeah, because you got the wrong mindset. He said, you get ready to go in, you want to go through the whole cycle to 364 with the wrong mindset, because you're going to go in there with this Chagall, this type mindset, and you want to be noticed. Notice, look at me. Look at, for what? And it says, go to the ant, O sluggard. So you say, when the ants come out? Ants come out now. You know how you're going to see a lot of ants coming around trying to get some food. The little crumbs you left during the wintertime on the ground, them ants taking it to their lair right now. Go to the ant, O sluggard, consider her ways. He's like, consider how they do what they do, and be wise. Why do you say that? Without having a chief, like chiefs of hundreds and thousands, chiefs and all that stuff that people got. Chiefs of thousands and hundreds, they ain't got none of that. They ain't got none of that. No chief, any chief, officer or ruler, they ain't got no archon, no ruler. No, he say no marshal, they ain't got none of that. They ain't got no officers. She prepares her bread in the summer. What do you think they doing right now? Where we at right now? In early summer. So what are they getting ready to do? She prepares her bread in the summer and gathers her food in the harvest. What do you think these ants doing? You think they grabbing all the crumbs you left, all that stuff y'all left on the ground. They left all that stuff, all that food you ain't want to eat during the wintertime that people trying to give you. He said the ants take that stuff. They like, man, let me get that. Ooh, let me take that. Ooh, let me get that. So all the stuff y'all rejected, how you say the lakam, we talked about so many times with the bread right there, and all the lakam that people rejected, guess what? Them ants were taking that stuff. Them ants were eating that thing. They got all that stuff in their lair right now. Because all that stuff y'all didn't want to eat, they got it. And it's summertime too, and they getting ready to have a good time. And it says, and gathers her food and harvest. How long will you lie there? He's like, so how long you gonna be there? He said, how long you gonna lay there? What punishment did he give Satan, the serpent, when Satan was inside of him? What punishment he gave him? He said, on their bellies you shall go all the days of your life. You're gonna eat dust. He told him that. You shall bruise his head, and he shall bruise your heel. He said, how long you gonna lie there, old sluggard? When will you arise from your sleep? Oh, because you sleeping. He's like, because you sleeping. Because you sleep. How you talk with spirits of sleep? He said, you sleeping. Because you know why you sleep? Because your eyes ain't open. Because you blind. He said, just that fast. It says, a little sleep and a little slumber and a little folding of the hands to rest, and poverty will come upon you like a robber, and want like an armed man. He's going to come just like that. He's going to come and steal from you. Satan going to come and take everything inside of your house, inside of your mind, inside of your body, because you ain't dressed for action. You ain't always ready. And being that you ain't always ready, by the time you wake up, by the time you figure it out, you're going to be trying to be noticed while you sleeping, and you're going to have the mindset in the forehead of a harlot. And you getting ready to go in the summertime. You're in the springtime. And now you become what? You're going to go out here, you're going to be like, notice me, look at me, and you're going to be a pretender the whole time. You're going to be pretending. You're going to be pretending pretending you sincere, pretending that you love Yahuwah, pretending that you have something on the inside of you that some people need to notice, and then guess what? It's going to be fake. Right? But it said right here, a worthless person, a wicked man or woman goes about with crooked speech. There we go, with your tongue. He said, you crooked speech. What do you think serpent's tongue was? Nakash. He said, you got crooked speech. What do you mean? What do you mean crooked speech? Because speech has a part of it. And it says, winks with his eyes, her eyes, there we go. They want to be noticed. They want to be noticed. They wink with the eyes, your 7 eyes. You wink with your 7 eyes. And get what you do. Signals to his feet. Point with the finger. He said, yeah. He said, you doing all this stuff. And what else you doing? With perverted heart, devises Ra. See, please see your, like Jeremiah 3 says, see your evil. You're going to be pointing the finger. You're going to be doing all these things. Your eye with your signal, trying to be noticed, trying to get some notice, people to see you and notice you, knowing that you are a pretender and you are fake. And then we're in the summertime, but the ant, that little ant you ain't never see. And people say, why Shaul say Yahuwah chose what is low and despised, to bring to nothing the things that are, that no man will boast in the sight of Yahuwah. He was talking about that ant. That ant on the ground, and more wiser than you. And get what it says. With perverted heart devises evil. in the mindset. You got the wrong mindset going into this. Continually sowing discord. He said, you got the wrong mindset. Therefore, calamity will come upon him suddenly, or her. In a moment, he will be broken beyond healing. He's like, you ain't gonna be able to be healed after that. You gotta go through a whole year. You know how you say? You get a year punishment for every day. You get a year, so you got a whole year to get punished. So you got a whole 364. You're gonna be punished from this time all the way to the next year. Think about that. He's like, I don't want that. He said, man, get up then. Open your eyes. Right? Your iron, your experience, your watch. Because you gotta be watching. See, watch, and experience. That's the only way you're gonna see it. In your 7 eyes. And it says, these 6 things that Yahuwah hates. Oh, we're talking about your eyes. How many eyes we got? 7. Oh, so you're talking about these 6 things Yahuwah hates. So you're talking about Pasak, Kagmatza, Bakur. Then you got Kag Shabur. Oh, then you got Turah. And then what's after that? Kafar. So all that's blind. So now Yahuwah like, you blind in 6 cogs. All the way through. And it says, these 6 things Yahuwah hates. 7 are an abomination. So now you done got, then you done got all the way, you pretending from the first day of summer, Kag Masa, in your harvest, all the way to the 7th month, and your eyes are still closed. And you ain't got nothing to harvest. Your 7 eyes are closed. And he says, look what he says. In Abomination hymn, 17, haughty eyes. That's the first. Amazing, he talks about the eyes automatically. We just talked about the iron, the eyes. You got to see it. But if you're blind, you can't see it. He said, haughty eyes. You want to be noticed. Look at me. With the wrong mindset. A lying tongue, then it go from your eyes to your lips. Just like the serpent. A hands that shed innocent blood, and you start pursuing other people, pointing the finger. I'm going to kill you. Then after you do that, a heart that devises wicked plans, then your heart get corrupted. Now you're in critical condition. You ever seen somebody with a heart attack? Now it's pumping throughout your rest of your body. Your deoxygenated and oxygenated blood from your left and your right ventricles is now pumping throughout your whole body to your hands and your feet, and now your whole body corrupted. And you know what happens when your whole body get corrupted? Feet that makes haste to run to evil. That's what's going to happen. Just like Jeremiah said, you have the forehead of a Zanah. And you refuse to be ashamed. You trying to do as much evil as you can. And then you want to call on me. And then he said, guess what's going to happen after that? He said, you're going to be real fast. He said, you're going to run a 4.2, 4.3. Well, you're going to run like a 10.5 for a woman to do some evil. No, 9.38. You're going to be faster than the fastest man in the world to go do some evil. You ain't even gonna stop. You ain't gonna think. Be like, man, you quit. Boy, you quit. Right? And guess what it says? Run and do evil. A false witness who breathes out loud. And guess what you're gonna be doing? You're gonna be falsely accusing other people. You're gonna be such a good pretender. Because you got the wrong mindset. He said you're gonna be a good pretender. And guess what happens after that? And one who sows discord among brothers. You're gonna be separating brothers, sisters, mother, father. You're going to be destroying families. You're going to be destroying trust and loyalty, dignity. You're going to be destroying it all. Sanctity in marriage. You're going to be destroying everything. You're going to be running the evil. You're going to be doing so much wrong. You're going to be like, man, what just happened? And all this is a part of what? Your eyes. And guess what happens? Verse 20. My son, keep your father's commandment and forsake not your mother's teaching. Bind them on your heart always. Tie them around your neck. All right, you're in the summertime. In the wintertime, you ain't got to tell you that. They're in the house. Everybody in the house in the wintertime. Nobody outside. It's cold. Nobody telling you bind it around your neck. Write it on your heart. No, it's talking about summertime. When the sun come back out. When people go outside. Nobody outside in the wintertime. It's cold. When you walk, they will lead you. Now she's trying to coach you up. He said, man, put this stuff in your consciousness. When you lie down, they will watch over you. Speak these words when you sit in the house, walk by when you lie down, you rise up. Because you're going to need it. And when you awake, they will talk with you. You're going to need to be talking with it. What happens? For the commandment is the lamp, the manure, the near, right? For the commandment is a lamp, and the teaching is the light. It's the light. It's your manure. Your 7 eyes. Your 7 near need to be continually burning. It says right here, and reproof and discipline are a way of life. He said, you're going to have to reprove yourself in every single aspect of your life. You know what it says? To preserve you from the evil woman. Uh-oh. Why would he say that? He said the rock woman. What happens? From the smooth tongue of an adulteress. You know that person we just talked about, Jeremiah chapter 3? He said, smooth. He said, you trying to do as much evil as you can. He said, yeah, to preserve you from the smooth tongue. He said, why, when are you going to get the smooth tongue of an adulteress? In the summertime. When a woman going to get the smooth tongue of a man to try to take her virginity? In the summertime. Who going to get a smooth tongue to try to commit fornication? In the summertime, you going to get it. He's trying to get you. What happens? Do not desire her beauty in your heart. Remember we just talked about heart that devises wicked plans? Do not devise, what do you mean devise? Right, so that word for, he said, do not desire her beauty in your heart. Well, he said desire. And he says, and do not let her capture you with her eyelashes. Her eyes are iron. What do you mean? Her eyes. Because she want to be noticed. She want to be noticed. This woman want to be noticed. She wants you to see her. That's the only way she's going to get you. That's why she used that iron. All right, so that word for eyelashes, Proverbs chapter 6, verse 25. Proverbs chapter 6, verse 25, that word for eyelashes. That word for eyelashes, or eyelids, is off. It's off. It's off. They say off. Aleph pa. The strength of the mouth. Strength of the mouth. The strength of the mouth. Off. The strength of the mouth. It also means an eyelash. Figuratively, morning ray. Like the dawning. Or she like the dawn. Or she come out off. This means what? Strength of the mouth. Strength of speech. And it's like the dawning of the day. Just like the sun, because we in the summertime. It's just like the dawning of the day. Off. It's just like the ray of the morning light, the sun, and it rises in the horizon. Amazing that everybody be outside. He said, how does all this happen during this time? Right, just like we look at the dawning of the day in the 7 celestial circles, when the sun comes back, everything gets productivity, right? But it said right here, can a man carry fire next to his chest and his clothes be not burned? He said, can you carry that type of woman next to you? With the fire, I'm talking about like her mouth is like the morning dawn. Can you do that? Her mouth is strengthening her speech. It's like the morning dawn. Off. Can you do that? Strengthen her mouth? He said, can you carry fire next to his chest and his clothes be not burned? Boy, you understand all your clothes coming off. It's gonna burn off, like all your stuff coming off. She gonna strip you naked like Adam. And Adam was like, we naked. You gonna be just like Adam. Man, what happened? The woman. He said, didn't I not tell you keep the commandment of your mother and the teaching of your father? Right? And it said right here, or can one walk on hot coals and his feet be not be scorched? He said, can you do that? Man, she like the morning dawn. You ever stepped on beach sand when the sun is hit that, and you got your boot barefoot and you start walking on that sand? Ooh, that thing burn. I'm talking about in the heat of the day. As that thing get hot, you can't even walk on it. You're gonna get burned. And it says, or can one walk on hot coals and his feet be not scorched? You're gonna get burned. so is he who goes into his neighbor's wife. He said, you gonna do that? He said, so is you. The only way they're gonna get you is the speech. It's like the morning dawn. And guess what it says? None who touches her will go unpunished. He said, you ain't gonna go unpunished. Regardless of how much you think you're gonna get, you ain't gonna get it. You're gonna get a year, 2 years, 4-year punishment. You don't know how long it's gonna be. You're gonna get punished. Don't get it twisted. Right? And it said right here, you don't know how long the sentence is gonna be. People do not despise a thief. I said, we're gonna skip over that. Right, so here we go. This is the book of Proverbs, chapter. Mostly Proverbs. Mostly Proverbs. This is the reason why we're doing this, right? This is mostly Proverbs chapter. It's not an attack on women. It's just really just. It's the reason why. This is mostly Proverbs, chapter 7, verse 1. My son, keep my words and treasure up my commandments with you. Keep my commandments and live. Keep my teachings as the apple of your eye. Oh, here we go. Of your eye. It's just like the pupil in your eye. He said, keep your commandments as the pupil of your eye. Why would he say that? Bind them on your fingers. Write them on the tablets of your heart. He said, write them on the tablets of your heart, right? So that word for Proverbs chapter 7, verse 2, for apple, because you know they put apple in here because they think you're gonna get it from a tree, right? But this Proverbs chapter 7 in verse, right? So that word for apple is ishun. Ishun. It means a little man of the eye, the pupil or ball, hence the apple, the obscure. Right? So that's the word for apple. Right? Of course, you know the word for eye is ayin. Right? Just like it's an experience, it's a watch, right? So you got to be watching. But it says right here, bind them on your fingers. We're approaching the Pesach is a night of much watching. Right? It's trying to teach you for the rest of the year. You're going to be watching it. You're going to be watching the second, third watch. Bind them on your apple on your eye. Bind them on your fingers. Write them on the tablets of your heart. Why? Because your heart can devise wicked plans. Say to Hukmah, wisdom, like the ant. You are my sister. He's like, look at that ant. He say wisdom, Hukmah, you my sister. And call insight your intimate friend. That's why Yahushua said, you my friends, you do whatsoever I command you. Who was Yahushua's intimate friend? Hukmah, wisdom. And who gonna be friends with him? People who got wisdom and understanding. Verse 5 says, to keep you from the forbidden woman, from the forbidden speech of a woman. What do you mean speech? Like the shit. It's like the dawn. The speech is like the dawn. It's like the sun. And it says to keep you from the forbidden woman, from the adulterous woman with her smooth words. Why? Because you know what adulterous woman people gonna say? They're gonna say things are, nah, it didn't really matter. It's okay. He didn't really say that, like the serpent. You know, we can still do it. We can still go here. We can still go there. We can still do this. We can still do that. That's what smooth words is. It's okay. Yeah, you did that. It's okay. You know, everybody fornicates. Everybody commits adultery. It's okay. That's what they say. Just have a problem. You know, it's okay. You'd be like, no. Who would say you is a nah? You got the forehead of a zanah. And he says, verse 6 says, for at the window of my house I have looked out through my lattice. So he said, I looked out. He says, and I have seen among the simple, I have perceived among the youths a young man lacking sense. He said, what do you mean lacking sense? His 7 eyes closed. 6 things are abomination, 7 are abomination. He said, you lack sense. He said, you lack something. You lack a sense of what? Right? So that word from Proverbs chapter 7. It says a young man it says void. That word for lack is kasher. It means void because you don't want it. It says void labi. He's lacking sense in his heart. Right? And it says, verse 8 says, passing through the street near the corner, taking the road to her house, right? In the twilight, in the evening, because you know we're getting ready to go into the second, third watch. That's what it is. In the evening, and what happened? At Abyb, at the time of the night and darkness, why do you think Yahushua say, if you come in the second or third watch, you can walk out of the servants? It's a reason why he's telling you this. It's not something he's just making up. He lacking sense in the night and the darkness, and behold, the woman meets him. There it is. Right in the nighttime. He said, I want a nightlife. He said, only nightlife you should have is praying, watching, guarding your mind and your heart. That's the nightlife you should have in your heart and your mind. Whether married or single, it doesn't matter. It's my nightlife. And get what it says. Behold, a woman meets him, dressed as a prostitute, wily of heart. He said, dressed like a prostitute. Why would it say that? Right? So that word for, it said, dressed like a zana. Right? What do you mean zana? Zana has a mindset. He said you have the forehead of a harlot, a zana. That's the same word for Yirmiyahu. It says what? To commit adultery. Her intentions in her mind is to commit adultery. That is her mindset. It's to fornicate. And less often is a involuntary to commit adultery. That's what her whole mindset is. It's her ayin. It ain't about her clothes. It says her mindset. And behold, a woman meets him dressed with a mind to commit adultery. Wily of heart. That's her mindset. In her mind. Because that word for heart is lave, la. Teacher of your body, lamet bith. Teacher of your mind. Her mindset is to commit adultery. She's dressed with this type of mindset. Right? When people say, oh, she dressed like a harlot. If her mindset is to commit adultery, yes. But her mindset is not to do that. Some people are mindset. Some people may not even dress like you. They just ain't got a mind to do what you do. You say, oh, you mean a person go, you would have a head wrap on in a dress or some fringes on, you can still commit adultery. Your mindset is dressed to do it. You can have on different clothes. You can have on all types of different clothes on. You can say, oh, these are my religious clothes, I have on, and I walk amidst and walk by the way. Look at me. Look at you. You better be noticeable, but you got the wrong mindset with it. So it don't mean nothing. A woman wearing some shorts and you commit adultery, she don't commit adultery, guess what? You will look at you. You say you're an adulterer. That woman don't even do what you do. And she don't even do what you do. He's like, you're dressed up. He said you're a dressed up covered shadim. Right? That's how Yahuwah look at you. Because Yahuwah don't see like man see. Yahuwah judges what? He judges your lave, your heart. And he said, man, Yahuwah can see straight to your heart, just like he saw McCall straight into her heart. And it says, and behold, the woman meets him dressed as a prophet, wily of heart. She is loud and wayward. What do you mean loud and wayward? She is loud and wayward. They say, she is hama. That word for loud is hama. It means what? Make it loud sound, a great commotion. Why? Because she want to be noticed. Right? She ain't quiet and meek. She want to be noticed. Sarar, right? She's rebellious too. Sarar, right? She is stubborn. It says Sarar means rebellion, revolter. Stubborn, withdrew. So who she had to withdraw from to get you to commit adultery? She had to withdraw from somebody. She had to withdraw from her husband. Which means she loud and wayward. We out in the street. So what is she trying to do? Her mouth is like the dawn. Strengthen the speech. And you know what it says? She is loud and wayward, and her feet is not at home because she ain't got a nightlight. He said, you know what I say? I need to get out. I need a nightlife. He said, your nightlife? You said, what you need a nightlife for? What you think of a woman? You finna have a dinner party with the girls. What do you think you get ready to do? It's a nod. they got the mindset. What do you think? If they got the wrong mindset and they gonna do that, what you think they gonna do? It's summertime, right? She is loud and wayward, and her feet stay not at home. She ain't at home. Now in the streets, now in the market. Was she in the market, in the street? She with the wrong mind, because she ain't got the same mind. And guess what? At every corner, she lies and wait. And you see people, he said, I like in Yasharal and Yehuda to a harlot. And they at every corner, they sitting at every corner. Loud and wayward. They loud and stubborn. They saying all type of stuff loud, screaming at people, trying to be noticed, not even knowing. You got the mindset of a harlot. And you be like, what type of harlot is this? Yeah, they dressed up too. They nice. They look good. But they got the wrong mindset. Yeah, that faithless Yehuda and Yasharal, they on every street corner, yelling and screaming at people, trying to get their attention, to get people to come and be a part of me. What? And then you ready to commit some adultery. You got the wrong mindset. Man, it's right here. Now in the street, now in the market, they everywhere. You see them, you be like, man, there she go. Right? At every corner, lying in wait, she seizes him and kisses him. She sees him. And she kisses him. Right? She ain't got no self-control. Didn't we just talk about that? She got no self-control. With the bold face, she says to him, she was real bold. Because you got to be real bold to say stuff like this out of your mouth. Her mouth is like the dawn. Strengthen the tongue. I had to offer sacrifices, and today I have paid my vows. Well, she's like, you a liar. She pretending the whole time. You know, pretending to be some sincere woman. I paid my vows. I've offered sacrifices. I've done my prayers. I prayed in the morning, noon, evening, all night. I paid my vows to Yahuwah. This is how we just read in Yirmiyahu. They do everything. He said, you try to do all the evil you can, yet you call on my name. I paid my vows. I did all of this, and guess what? So now I have come out to meet you. He's like, man, I done did everything. Now it's time to get out. I done did everything I needed to do. And now I'm so righteous and so pure and so, look at me, I'm paying my vows, and I come out to meet you. What you meet me for what? To seek you eagerly, and I have found you, man. I found you, boy. I hunted you down. You know how people say, I'm the one who caught you. But in actuality, what type of woman are you? Right? Got on all the clothes and everything. He says, I seek you eagerly, and I have found you. I have spread my couch with coverings, colored linens from Egyptian linen. She's like, I'm using Mizraim linen. I'm using that good linen. You say, why would she say that? He said, why would she say Mizraim linen? I have perfumed my bed with myrrh and aloes and cinnamon, right? So she's dressing it all up nice, because it's just her mouth is like the dawn. It looks really good, what she's saying to you. And guess what she said? Come, let us take our fill of love till the morning. Huh? When is all taking place at? At night. This is all taking place in the second and third watch, at night. And she pretending like she's sincere, and she's not. She's pretending. She's only pretending to get you. Let us take our fill until the morning. Let us delight ourselves with love. What do you mean? Let us delight ourselves in love. Smooth speech. I love you. I care about you. Let's delight ourselves in love. Speaking those words, right? And get what it says. For my husband is not at home. See, he say, what? And she already done said, let's feel love. And then now she gets to the point where she got to reveal herself. And she got to make her decision. You got to make your decision on what you're going to do. Because she came out to meet you. You couldn't really notice her. Because the way she was talking, she said, I paid my vows, offered my sacrifices. But then she said that one word that should have triggered your mind, and say, you know what? This is not going to happen tonight. And if you don't do it, it's over for you. Because some of them hide their husband. Their husband be walking by the way, lie down and rise up, and they be walking right by you. Be like, why are you ducking behind the bush? Why are you ducking behind the building? Because they don't want you to know that they got a husband. And they want you to kill you. Right? And they say right here, for my husband is not at home. He is gone on a long journey. He said, he gone. He on a long journey. He on a long journey. And guess what happened? And he took a bag of money with him. So that means if he took a bag of money, that means he got a lot of things he got to do. And he ain't gonna be back for a while. And guess what happened? At full moon, he will come home. What do you mean full moon? Because when the moon started to get to its full, that's what happens when you start to transition over, when you get close to another, time sequence. And guess what happens? And that's when the sun is directly in front of the moon, right face to face. Not behind the moon, but in front of the moon. That's when the full moon happens. It means she's going to be seeing him face to face at the full moon. So when the full moon comes, you're going to be seeing him face to face. You're going to be like, my husband back. Before he was on a long journey, he was waxing and waning and came back around to the dark moon. And he came back around to a full moon. See, I got time. And get what happened? Let us delight ourselves in love. For my husband is gone, not at home. He's on a long journey because the sun gone. She talking about when you start looking at the celestial circles, when the sun is gone, it's going behind the moon. It's a dark moon, and it comes right in front of the moon. And get what it says. And he took a bag of money with him. At the full moon, he will come with much seductive speech. She persuades him. Right? She was pretending the whole time. And then she used, even telling you the truth. She told the lie, and then she told the truth. How you say it? She had good and evil in her speech. And by having good and evil in her speech, with seductive speech, she persuaded him, just like she did at Cool in the garden. Truth mixed with a lie. With her smooth tongue talk, she compels him. She compelled him. And all at once, he follows her. He said, "You are feet swift to do evil. Like you run the 4-3, 4-2, as an ox to the slaughter, and as a stag caught fast, till an arrow pierces his liver." He said, just like you hunt an animal. Right? Because you know what's going to happen when we read in Proverbs. He said, what's going to happen when you ain't paying attention, your eyes become dark and you sitting there laying in the bed. He said, man, you're going to be hunted. Your eye ain't going to be closed. You're going to be a pretender. You're going to be a pretender and you're going to be a liar, and then guess what? You're going to be hunted just like an animal. The demons, Shadim, coming for you. Asmodeus is coming for you. And it says, as a bird rushes into a snare, he does not know that it will cost him his life. You don't even know. Man, it's going to cost you something in your life. People say, it ain't going to cost me nothing. I say, okay. It's going to cost you something. It's going to cost you some money, health, body. It's going to cost you it may cost you your family. It may cost you something. It may even cost you that the husband might come back and he might see you. He might do like the man in Judges and might cut you up in 12 pieces and send you out through Yashara. You don't know what's going to happen to you. This ain't no game. If people say, oh, it ain't, okay. He said, you ain't going to go unpunished. And it says, and now, O sons and daughters, listen to me and be attentive to my words in my mouth. Let not your heart turn aside to her ways. He said, now women got to watch themselves too. Women too. He said, you got to watch yourself. When they seductive speech, they have your, man, how you talk about the fallen Nephilim, they say demons issue from their body. Right? This is not a game. And it says, let not your heart turn aside to her ways. Don't even follow what she do. Even the women don't even do what this woman does. Do not stray into her path. Don't walk in her way. Don't walk in her way. When you walk by way Lara and you rise up, don't be thinking about how she do and how she live, and you be jealous and envious of her and her life and her lifestyle and how she get away with everything and how she do all this. Man, look at her life, boy. She married, and her husband don't know. She got like 8 men taking care of her, giving her gifts and all these things, decking her car out, doing all these things. He said, don't even be jealous of that. And yeah, go ahead. It says, do not stray to her past. For many, a victim she has laid low. Man, she done laid low. You talk about knockout punches. remember, people say, oh, you've done this in your life, and you think, people say, I'm getting immersed, and I just erase all of this. He's like, yeah, you get immersed. But just understand, for many, a victim, she has laid low. All the victims you created before you got immersed, just understand, they're going to hunt you down. The same way spirits come out of a body, the unclean spirits go out of a man or a woman, they're coming for you. You know why they're coming? Because they left out from the house where they came out from. And you're going to have to fight your battles. You're going to have to fight, because they're coming back to get back in your body and your mind to make you go back to doing the very same thing that came out of you after you got immersed. They coming back. You're like, oh yeah, I'm good. I say, okay, you in for the fight of your life. You did all this, and you created all them victims. You think them victims ain't coming back? Especially if something happened, you did something real ruthless, and they coming back. You think they ain't coming back? You think they ain't thinking about you? I remember what you did. I remember what you did about 10 years ago. I don't care about your God. I don't care about what you serve. Right? You think they don't think about that? You think all those men ain't gonna think about that? You made me lose my household and my wife. You made me go. I went after you, and I went and slept with you and I lost everything. I got punished, right? And you thinking like, oh yeah, I'm good. I got immersed. No, them people coming for you. They thinking about you every day. While they in the bed, while they lost everything, and they thinking about you. I got punished because this woman seduced me. I lacked sense, and now they done woke up. They thinking about you. So please don't be thinking like, oh, I'm good. That's why you say. That's why you got to follow your head. Right? You need to think about what you did. Like, this is not some overnight thing. Like, this is something that you create. People say you created. You fought. You created those victims, and those victims gonna want to fight. They're coming back. It says for many, as a victim, she laid low. All the pretending, all that want to be noticed, and all that. He said all that pretending and stuff you did. He said, and all her slain are a mighty throng. He said they real mighty. Her house is the way to Sheol. He said, I done went from hell to everlasting life. He said, yeah, but them people remember that you led them to Sheol. And you brought their life to a living hell when you actually were not doing what you're supposed to. And they remember you. He said, no need to duck behind a building when you see them. Or he said, how you go and you see him, be like, oh, that's such and such. Unless he's now become, clear his mind and heal himself. But if he ain't, that person ain't thinking what you're thinking when they see you. Unless they found and got purified themselves and they done forgave and did all that stuff. They ain't did that and they see you. Just understand they ain't thinking the same thing you thinking. They thinking about something totally different. Right? Her house is the way of Sheol, going down to the chambers of death. That's what they thinking about you right now when they see you. And their life ain't recovered yet. That's what they thinking about you when they see you. He said, why? Because that's just a part of it. Right? This is the book of right? That's the punishment for pretending in this world, right? Right. So this is the book of this is the book of Genesis, chapter 37, verse 1. This is the book of Genesis, chapter 37, verse 1. This is the book of Genesis, chapter 37, verse 1. It says, and Yaakov lived in the land of his fathers, sojourning in the land of Canaan. These are the generations of Yaakov, Yusuf being 17 years old. He was 17. Was pasturing his flock with his brothers. He was a young man, a boy, with the sons of Bilhah and Zilpah, his father's wives, right? Because they were all men. He said, why would he say that? Why would he say that? And Yusuf brought a bad report, an evil report of them to their father, right? Yusuf was telling everything they do, all their business. Because when you start to tell tell the father, Yahuwah, other people's business and what they doing, the evil that they doing, then guess what happened? It's going to create something inside of everybody you talking about. And then what it says, and Yusuf brought a evil report to them of their father. Now, Yasharah loved Yusuf more than any other of his sons, because he was the son of his old age. Why? Because the children made in their old age, Now, this is from the children of your youth, when the womb is failing. It's a different type of child that is. And it says, and he made him a robe of many colors. He gave him a coat. He gave him kafana of many colors, right? Just like the virgin woman who had the coat of many colors in David's house that got defiled by armor, right? But when his brothers saw that their father loved him more than all his brothers, they hated him and could not speak peaceably to him. He's like, man, the Abba loved him more than us. You know what happens after that when people start getting envious and jealous like that? They start pretending. Just like you see here, they pretending now. They envious and jealous of what Yusuf has in his relationship. They envious and jealous of who he is. And guess what happens? And now Yusuf had a dream, right? And when he told his brothers, they hated him even more. And then he started talking. He started saying things. He started talking about his visions and dreams now. And guess what happened? And he said to them, hear this dream that I have dreamed. Behold, you were binding sheaves in the field, and behold, my sheaf, my aluma rose above and stood upright. And behold, your sheaves gathered around it and bowed down to my sheaf, my aluma. He like, look at here. Now look at me. I'm above you. His brother said to him, are you indeed to reign over us? He said, so you going to rule us now? We hate you already because the Father loves you, and now you're going to rule over us now? Now you're going to tell us what to do now? Oh, that's not going to happen. You're not going to do that. And guess what happened? Are you indeed to reign over us? Are you indeed to rule over us? Now they're like, oh, you pretending. Now they like, you going to rule over us? So they hated him even more. They pretending now. They're not pretending. They pretending. You went from these brothers, now you're pretending now. Brothers and sisters, he said, you pretending now. For his dreams and his words, and now they pretending even more. Right, going to verse 12. Now his brothers went to pasture their father's flock in Shechem, and Yasharal said to Yusuf, are not your brothers pasturing the flock in Shechem? Come, and I will send you to them. And he said to him, here I am. So he said to him, go now, see if it is well with your brothers and with the flock, and bring me word. He said, go see if it's well. So he sent him to the valley of Hebron, and he came to Shechem, and a man found him wandering in the fields. And he said, and the man asked him, who are you seeking? He said, who are you seeking? I am seeking my brothers, because you were lost. And he said, tell me, please, where they are pasturing the flock. He was lost. I lost my way. And he said, I'm going to show you the way now, because you lost. And get what happened? And the man said, they have gone away, for I have heard them say, let us go to Dothan. So Yusuf went after his brothers and found them in Dothan. He led them on the way. Right? People don't even know how these things work. Because sometimes you can get lost, and then there'll be a certain person that'll just pop up, a random person. And that would be a person that helped you along the way. You get what it says? And they saw him from afar, and before he came near, they conspired against him to kill him. So they were already talking about him before he even got there. So maybe they had a phone call before he arrived. You know how people say, I left my father's house and I went to another place. They already had a phone conversation before I even got there. They were already talking about me before I even got there. They already had private conversation before I even got there. And they already conspired on what they were going to do, how you say, to make you fall, to kill you. He said, people do that. They already had it. And we vouch for this person. They already had private conversations. And guess what happened? And they said one to another, here comes this dreamer. Here he comes, this person. Who he think he is, right? They already have it in their mind. They all pretending to be sincere. They're pretending like they actually are close family members. Come now, let us kill him and throw him into one of the pits. Why? Because if we get rid of him, we're going to get all the attention. If we get rid of this one person, we're going to be the people that's going to rule. We're going to be the ones that's going to rule. We're the ones going to be the people that people are going to look to. We're going to be the person. We get rid of this person. And it says, then we will say that a fierce animal has devoured him. Then we're going to lie after we do it. We'll just plausible deniability. You know how they say? No, we didn't do that. This is what he did. We didn't do that. No, this is what he did. And you know what they're going to do? They're going to blame you for everything. They're going to put it on an animal after they do it. Amazingly, that's what people do for their sins. They always want to throw it on some animal rather than put it on themselves. They say the animal did it. That's what they're going to do. They always put it on an innocent animal, because the animal is something they rule over, and it's like, oh, this is an animal. That animal did it. That lamb, that sheep did it. That's what they always do. That sheep did it. No, it was actually you. They always do that. They've been doing this before. If you say, oh, yeah, you know, they've been doing this. No, why do you think he said, behold the Lamb of you who will take away the sin of the world? Because they're going to be like, that lamb did it. That's what they're going to do. They're going to put it on the animal. The saw did it. They always put it on an animal. An innocent animal who want to live just like you. And it says right here, come now, let us kill him and throw him in one of the pits. And then we will say a fierce animal has devoured him, and we will see what will become of his dream. He said, we're gonna say Satan came and killed him. Satan came, you know that animal? The devouring lion, Satan came and destroyed him. But it was actually them who did it. They're gonna blame it all on Satan. This serpent deceives me. That's what they're going to do. It's just like that. You're going to blame it all on Satan. No, you need to blame it on you because Satan inside of you. It says, but when Reuben heard it, he rescued him out of the hand, saying, let us not take his life. He's like, let me not do this. But guess what it said? And Reuben said to them, shed no blood. Throw him into this pit here in the wilderness, but do not lay a hand on him. He's like, just throw him in the pit. If it doesn't kill him. Right? So he one of those good criminals. Right? He say the good criminals. They still evil, but they just ain't gonna do it all the way evil. Right? But you're still the same person. So I just ain't gonna go that far. But we could just throw him in the pit though. But guess what it says? Throw him in the pit here in the wilderness, and do not lay a hand on him, that he might rescue him out of their hands and restore him to his father. Why? Because they want him to stay alive. Get what he said. We're gonna skip down. He said, so when Yusuf came to his brothers, they stripped him of his robe. He said they took all his clothes off. They took all his clothes out. The robe of many colors that he wore. He said that's why they stripped Yahushua. And that's why when he said, can a man take fire in his bosom and his clothes be not burned? All your clothes coming off. They coming off. And they took him and threw him into the pit. The pit was empty and there was no water in it. Right? So that he was thirsty. Right? So all that took place. Why? Because when people start pretending, when people start to conspire against you, when they strip you naked, and they expose you to every single thing, and they throw you into the pit, they're gonna leave you there. They're gonna leave you there to see how you're gonna get out, and they're gonna watch and see how you gonna get out of that situation. Why? Because now you become a spectacle and entertainment for them. You now become a spectacle and entertainment for people that hate you will do this to you. You now become a proverb and a byword. You become that entertainment for them. And it says, you become like Survivor. Let's see what you do. And get what it says, verse 25, then they sat down to eat, and then they started eating food. And guess what happened? And looking up, they saw a caravan of Ishmaelites coming from Gilead with their camels, bearing gum, balm, and myrrh. And it says, on their way. Right, so they seen all that. And guess what happened? On their way and carrying it to Mizraim. Notice how everybody going to Mizraim. I got Egyptian cotton. I got Mizraim cotton. Going to Mizraim. Then Yehuda said to his brothers, what what profit is it if we kill our brother and conceal his blood? What's the profit for us? Come, let us sell him to the Ishmaelites. And Yehuda always think about some money. How are we gonna make some money off of this? We gotta make some type of money, because Yehuda always been about money. Just like Yusuf, just like Yehuda, right? Judas, right? We gotta make some type of money out of this. Come, let us sell him to the Ishmaelites, and let not our hands be upon him. Why? Because they're exploitation. It's called exploiting. The destruction of somebody or the exploitation of somebody for your own personal gain. That's what people do all the time in the world. And people that do that to you are people that hate you. They hate you. They throw you in a ditch, strip you naked, right? Set you up, and then they'll throw you in a ditch, and then they'll try to profit off of your destruction and still be eating and having a good time and laughing in your face. They'll do it anywhere. They do it in reality. They do it in the digital world, on social media. They'll do this because they hate you. And get what happens? Come, let us sell him to the Ishmaelites, and let us not our hand be upon him, and then use other people. Just like Saul was pretending, and he was pretending like he loved David, and he trying to use other people to get rid of him. And get what it says? Let not our hand be upon him, for he is our brother. Our own flesh, right? He's like, he's our brother, our own flesh. Right? But get what it says? And his brothers listened to him. Because Yehuda would think about that money. But he's pretending as if he really cared about him, but he really didn't. He was only thinking about the money. He didn't care about him, he was just thinking about the money. He's our brother. Come on, guys, we gotta make this money. He's our brother, we can still profit off of it, though. We can still make some money off of it. We can still get some gain. We can use it as our elevation. We can ride the wave of this thing. But he's our brother. Let us not do anything, but he really don't care about him. He really just want to get that money. The actual currency, the silver. Then the Midianite traders passed by. And they drew Yusuf up and lifted him out of the pit and sold him to the Ishmaelites for 20 shekels of silver. Then they took Yusuf to Mizraim. Verse 29, and when Reuben returned to the pit and saw Yusuf was not in the pit, he tore his clothes and returned to his brothers and said, the boy is gone, and where shall I go? He's like, what am I going to do? Then they took Yusuf's robe and slaughtered the goat and dipped the robe in blood. He's like, I can't go back to my father like that. So they conspired. And they sent the robe of many colors and brought it to their father and said, this we have found. Please identify whether it is your son's robe or not. He's like, how you say, identify the body. Don't the police say that? We want you to come to identify the body to see if that's really him. And the fierce animal has devoured him. A fierce animal has devoured him, and Yusuf is without a doubt torn to pieces. And they're pretending to be sincere. Isn't that what the Levite did to the woman? He cut her into pieces. Didn't he do that? Pretending as if they actually care about him, and they really don't. They say he tore him into pieces. Same thing they did to him. That's what people do. When you start pretending, you start devising many, many more lies, a lying tongue, and your eyes start to become closed, just like Proverbs 6 says. And your 7 eyes become closed, and now you lacking sense, and now you're going into these times, and guess what? You're going to be a pretender. You have the forehead and the wrong mindset. And they refused to be comforted and said, no, I shall go to Sheol. I'm sorry. And it says, then Jacob tore his garments after he saw that, and put on sackcloth in his loins and mourned for his son many days. Now you see what pretending causes? You now bring other people into it. And then you now cause sorrow in other people. You now cause weeping in other people. You now a person supposed to have joy. Now the person has affected their fruits. Just by you lying, conspiring, and having jealousy and envy in your heart, Now you're causing other people's fruits to have, by doing things to one person and destroying one person, but using it for profit. Now you're causing other people's joy they had, now it's sorrow. And you're affecting their emotions. And when you start affecting your people's emotions, that is Alphas, that is Abunelik, that is Aydah, that's Aydah, demons of trickery, that is Aldi, that is Mustama, that's Abyb. They manipulate emotions and anger and resentment and sorrow. They create these things. That is Mustama, that's Satan. You now created these things in their heart, and now you affected their fruit. For no reason at all, based upon a lie. Based upon a lie. And that's what happens when you start pretending. And it says, and all his sons and all his daughters rose up and comforted him. Right now, everybody else joining in and thinking it's true. And you got sons and daughters now joining in. You got the father weeping, all based upon a lie. Why do you think Colossians say, do not lie one to another? People say, why? Look what you create. It spreads. It's like one person, it spreads and it creates other emotions in other people. And now you got this big old breach based upon you. And it says what? Rose up and comforted him, but he refused to be comforted and said, no, I shall go down to Sheol to my son mourning. He's like, now you think why you think Yahushua was a man of sorrows according to grief. He was a man of sorrows. Look at what people do. And now you're manipulating their emotions. Now it's all on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Everybody crying and weeping. RIP, they put hashtag RIP. The person ain't even dead. Destroying people's emotions and thoughts, creating all these false lies, and guess what? Now you things ain't even true. Gossiping and slandering, saying all these things. I remember when he was just evil. He ain't even dead. They say he did that evil thing. Remember that? And they spread that and they create more stuff. Just by people just lying. It says, thus his father wept for him. All that takes place because of pretending. Right? But all that's important, right? Right, so this is the book of Sirach. The book of Sirach. Right, this is the book of Sirach. I think it's a proper. The book of Sirach, let's go to book of Sirach, chapter 25. Book of Sirach, chapter 25. Let me get there. Sirach, chapter 25, verse 22. Book of Sirach, 25, verse 15. Verse 15. Actually, verse 14. 25, 14. Sirach 25, 14. It says, and any affliction, but the affliction, let's go to 25. Now this is important. Sirach 25 and 12 says, the fear of Yahuwah is the beginning of his love, and Amunah is the beginning of cleaving to him. Right? That's the beginning of it. Give me any plague but the plague of the heart, and any wickedness but the wickedness of a woman. Right? So why would he say that? Just like I did now, just like Yasharal and Yehuda, the 12 tribes are compared to a harlot and treacherous sister. He said, don't give me the wickedness of a woman, because that's what Yahushua got when he was on the cross. But it's all a part of it. Verse 14, any affliction but the affliction from them that hate me. You see what happened to Yusuf? But that's not something you want. People saying, they hate me. You see when people hate you, they use you for profit, gain. They'll lie. They'll create stories. They'll plot. They'll have conversation. They'll plot for you even behind your back. They do all these things. That's affliction. You know how he talking about, to this person will I look. Nakat, right? He said what? He's afflicted, mourning, depressed. He said, to that person I'm going to look to build my house, who trembles at my debar. And it says, and any afflicted, but the affliction of them that hate me. and any revenge but the revenge of my enemies. He said, don't give me the revenge of my enemies. Why? Because remember all those things that you did in your life? You created enemies. Those victims you created. If those people, if Yahuwah turn you over and let them get revenge on you for all the stuff you did, you committed adultery, you did all these things, you destroyed their life, do you understand what's going to happen to you? If he allowed them to go past the threshold, and come into your house, do you know what they're going to do to you? Why you think in Ezekiel 18, he said, if the righteous man do what is righteous and good, he shall live. But if he turn from his righteousness and do what is evil, he shall surely die. You're going to let the gates open up on you. And he's going to let all them spirits come back to you. And all those men that you did, those many lovers, they coming to have a nice little powwow, a nice little cohabitation with you. They may even show up at your door in physical form. Hey, remember me? You remember what you did to me? I remember what you did. I ain't forgot. My life has never recovered. And it says right here, verse 13, give me any plague but the plague of a heart, and any wickedness but the wickedness of a woman, and any affliction but the affliction of them that hate me, and any revenge but the revenge of enemies. This is what happens when you pretend. It says, there is no head above the head of a serpent. And there is no wrath above the wrath of an enemy. Why? Because the head of a serpent. There is no head above the head of a serpent. Because you know what happens? You're supposed to bruise his head. And he's supposed to bruise your heel. But guess what happens? Verse 16, I'd rather dwell with a lion and a dragon than to keep a house with a wicked woman. He's like, than to keep one with a woman whose desire and mindset is to commit adultery. Because what happens when his mindset is loud, she's loud and wayward. She got strength in her voice, and you know what? She's trying to get some attention. And guess what happens? She ain't about it at the house because what happened when she said she ain't out in her house? Her smooth speech, she wasn't talking with smooth speech to her husband. She was talking with a loud and stubborn speech to her husband, and that's why she was able to persuade the young man to come into her house. She wasn't using smooth words with her husband. She was using loud words with her husband, and that's why she left. And you know, by using those loud words with her husband and leaving, it made him leave. And by him leaving, that's what the demon wanted. Because the Shadim wanted him to leave in order for her to be able to fulfill the desires of the demon that dwelled inside of her. Because he had to get out in order for that to happen. He on a long journey because she drove him out with her mouth. And then guess what happens? Now she in the streets. He gone. Come back to my house. My husband gone. He took a bag of money. And guess what happens? And now she steals your salvation. She steals your crown. Right off your head. And you ain't even gonna know that your 7 eyes are gone. Your 7 locks. You're going to be like, what happened to my 7 locks? He's like, you're going to wake up and you're going to be bald headed. You'll be like, what happened to my 7 locks? And get what it says. It says, there is no head but the head of a serpent, and there is no wrath above the wrath of an enemy. You can't get past it. I'd rather dwell with a lion and a dragon than to keep a house with a wicked woman. He said, lion and a dragon, a fire-breathing animal, or a lion, a devouring creature. The wickedness of a woman changes her face and darkeneth her countenance like sackcloth, right? I paid my vows and my dues. I made many sacrifices. I've repented. It says, her husband shall sit among his neighbors, and when he heareth it, he shall sigh bitterly. He shall, all the wickedness, he said, he shall sigh bitterly. All wickedness is but little to the wickedness of a woman, and let the portion of a sinner fall upon her. As the climbing of a sandy way is the feet of the aged, so is a wife of words to a quiet man. He's like, man, he's like a quiet person. He's like, man, you loud and stubborn. But guess what happens? You're gonna get to the end. As the climbing of a sandy way is the feet of the aged, so is the wife full of words to a quiet man. Stumble not at the beauty of a woman, and desire her not for pleasure. That's why. Because you're gonna start stumbling over your feet. And you're going to see a beautiful woman, and you're going to be desiring her for pleasure, and you ain't going to know nothing about her. And you're going to lack sense. And guess what's going to happen to you? And guess what happens? A woman, if she maintains her husband, is full of anger, impotence, and much reproach. Right? A woman abateth courage, maketh a heavy countenance and a wounded heart. He said it takes away courage, and it makes a wounded heart. What happens in a wounded heart? How you going to cause a wounded heart? Because you got to have a heart to devise wicked plans in order to cause a wounded heart. That's what happens when your lamp go out. But guess what it says? A woman that will not comfort her husband in distress maketh a weak hands and feeble knees. He said, you just like Delilah. I'll become like any other man. But guess what happens? Of the woman came the beginning of sin. This is what I want. And through her, we all die. And he's like, look at that. It's the beginning of sin. That's what happened to Qahalath in the garden, right? They should always say that, right? Yeah, man, look what you done did. That's the beginning of sin. But here we go. We all die because of that. Give the water no passage. Neither get a wicked woman liberty to gather abroad. Don't let her go out and have no entertainment on nightlife. He said, if you do that, and you send her out of your house and you have a nightlife, guess what you're going to do? You're going to partake her in her evil deeds. Because you know that ox will gore a man. He said, you know that ox will kill a person. You know that animal will kill. You know that ox will kill somebody, and you ain't keep it in. You know that woman got a mindset to commit adultery, and you ain't gonna keep that woman in. Because if you don't, he said you'll be liable. Because you already knew this. And get what it says. If she go not as thou wouldest have her, right? If you don't want to stay in, he said, cut her from your flesh. He's like, why would he say cut her from your flesh? What happened in the garden? They realized they were naked. And he said, why did Adam sin? What happened to Adam? Because Adam was supposed to, when Qahalath and the serpent started doing their own thing, he's supposed to rebuke both of them. He's supposed to have told them the truth. But nah, he didn't. He didn't. But get what it says. If she go not in the way thou have her, cut her from your flesh. Bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh. But he said, not today. And give her a bill of divorce and let her go. Now you see, well, he said, where is it? He said, look at all the people you lame. He said, she ain't going to stop doing it. She ain't going to stop doing wickedness. She ain't going to stop committing adultery, having mindset to commit adultery. She ain't going to stop the zina in her heart and her mind. She ain't going to stop being loud so she can get out the house and go, you know, that's what women do that for. You get loud and stuff, you go be out the house and go be with their lover. He said, he ain't going to stop doing it. So he said, give her a bill of divorce and let her go. And then you see what Yahuwah said, where's the bill of your divorcement? Didn't I give you one of them? And shall you return to me? He's like, you keep doing as much evil as you want, and then you call on my name. And Yahuwah said, why he let women go? Why he let us go? This is Jeremiah chapter 9. He said, why he let us go? We're almost finished. This is Jeremiah chapter 9. Jeremiah chapter 9 and verse 1. It says, oh, that my head were waters, and my eyes a fountain of tears. He said, what type of man will cry? That I might weep day and night. He said, we're supposed to be meditating on the bar human night. But this man said, why? He say a man of sorrows acquainted with grief. Right? Because if you have pretenders around, this is what's going to happen to you. For the slain of the daughter of my people. Oh, that I had, what do you think happened to Yusuf? Oh, that I had a desert or a traveling lodging place, that I might leave my people and go away from them. He's like, man, I want to get the heck away from you in a lodging place, and where? In the desert. He's like, where there's nobody out there. He said, ain't nobody around. Not one person. Not male, female, or nobody. He said, why people want to be secluded away from people? He's like, this why. You know why? This why. Oh, that I had in the desert a traveling lodging place, that I might leave my people and go away from them. Man, he was on a long journey. You know how they say? You know how he talked about the man in Proverbs? He said, he's on a long journey. He took a bag of money too. Man, where do you think he at? And gang, you know what he doing? And leave my people and go away from them. For they are all adulterous. Why do you think he left? He on a long journey. And man, he said, man, I'm gone. I can't do this. He's like, I gotta go be in the middle of the desert somewhere. Because they all adulterers. A company of treacherous men. They treacherous. Treacherous men. Why do you think the 12 tribes were the tribes that threw Yusuf in the ditch? He's like, these people treacherous. He says, they bend their tongue like a bow. They mean they just like the adulterous woman. The smooth speech. Matter of fact, they strengthen speech. They like the dawn. They on every street corner. In the markets. They bend their tongue like a bow. Falsehood and not truth has grown strong in the land. When do things grow? When do things start to grow in the ground? In the summertime. They come up from the ground. They've grown in the land. And you know what happens? For they proceed from evil to evil. He devised wicked plan. He said, I can't take it anymore. I'd rather go be in a desert, away from everybody. No technology, with solar panels. You know how they say with all the different fixings, with no internet, no social. I ain't got to see none of this stuff. I can black all this stuff out. I ain't got to look at none of this stuff. And we said, and they do not know me, declares Yahuwah. They don't even know your name. He's like, they don't even care about his name. They don't care. He's like, man, I'd rather. Get what it says. Verse 4 says, let everyone be aware of his neighbor. Oh, here we go. Because we in that time. And put no trust in any brother. He said, what do you mean by that? There's a reason why he's saying this. For every brother is a deceiver. Man, everybody is smooth speech. They smooth speech, smooth talking. Every brother and sister is a deceiver. And every neighbor goes about as a slanderer. He's like, everybody is slanderer. He'd be like, man, why you be telling people to take me there? I was like, man, everybody is slanderer. Everybody is a deceiver. Everybody trying to get over and profit off of people. And get what he said. Everyone deceives his neighbor. And no one speaks the truth. He said, why they ain't speaking the truth? Because they ain't talking about what they do. They have taught their tongue to speak lies. He said, who taught your tongue? You will send a lying spirit in you. No, you taught your tongue to speak lies. You did. Which means you taught your tongue, you taught your own tongue, you fed the demon that was in your tongue. Because the only thing that can destroy a demon, a lying spirit in your tongue is a truth in your tongue. Which means you taught your tongue, your own tongue, you fed the demon every single day. Smooth speech to yourself every single day. You want to speak in these words when you sit in the house, walk by, when you lie on, you rise up. You taught your own tongue that. Nobody taught it. No demon came, man. I'm going to blame it on Satan. No, it's you. You taught your tongue. You want speaking to the bar and truth in your tongue. So therefore, everything in your tongue is a lie. What do you think happened to Yusuf's brothers? What do you think happened to the adulterous woman? The smooth talking woman. The man who lacking sense when his 7 eyes went out. And it says right here, they have taught their tongue to speak lies. They weary themselves in committing iniquity. He said they run, you know how you get tired, you ever sprinted 100, 110, 200, 50-yard sprints and 4-2 every single time? Feet swift to run the evil. But you ever did one of them? 4-2. I'm running a 4-2 10 times. But you tired, ain't you? It says, heaping oppression upon oppression, deceit upon the deceit. That's what you're building. They refuse to know me, declares Yahuwah. Therefore, thus says Yahuwah of hosts, behold, I will refine them and test them. He said, okay, I'm going to test you. Oh, I seen a person, he lacking sense. So now when Yahuwah tests you with this type of mindset, what do you think you're going to do? You finna do something evil. And you know what he going to do? He going to let you go to it too. He going to give you up to it. And you know why he going to let you do that? This is why. For what else can I do? Because they are my people. Why? What are you going to do that for? Therefore, tongue is deadly arrow. It speaks deceitfully. Isn't that what the woman do? It do. Same thing these men do. Same thing his people do. You know what he says? With his mouth, each speaks peace to his neighbor. Shalom. Shalom, shalom. Shalom, shalom. They type it. They put it on comments. They say it out of their mouth. They speak shalom, shalom to his neighbor. But in his heart, he plans an ambush for him. You know what happens? Shalom, yeah, shalom, shalom. But in actuality, they already plotting deceit within their heart. Next time they see you, they're going to throw you in a ditch. They're going to be laughing in your face. And they're going to have a javelin to throw through your neck, in your stomach. They're going to throw you in a pit. They're going to strip you naked too. That's what the adulteress woman do in her speech. Her mouth like the dawn of the sun. And that thing will burn your clothes off. And God said, but his heart and plans and ambush, shall I not punish them for these things? And people say, what's going on? He's going to continue to punish you. He'd be like, yeah, it's almost over. I'd be like, no, it ain't. It ain't over. It ain't over. I assure you of that. He says, shall I not punish them for these things? He said, you'll punish. People don't know how Yahuwah dish out. We talk about how Yahuwah dish out punishments. One day like a 30 day, one day like a year. One offense, you got many gods. He punished them in Judges in chapter 10 for what? 18 years, right? Adam 5,500 years. He gonna get you now. He gonna get everybody, right? Shall I not punish them for these? Declares Yahuwah. A man that committed adultery with a woman, he said, you're not going to punish. Shall I not avenge myself on a nation such as this? I will take up weeping and wailing for the mountains, and lamentation for the pastures of the wilderness, because they are laid waste, so that no one passes through. Right? All these are a part of it. But why is he saying this? Right? Why is he saying this? Why is he saying it? Skipping over to verse 12. He said, who is the man so wise that he can understand this? To whom has the mouth of Yahuwah spoken, that he may declare? Why is the land ruined and laid waste like a wilderness, so that no one passes through, says Yahuwah of hosts? Because they have forsaken my Torah, that I set before them, and have not obeyed my voice or walked in accord with them. Why? Because they're supposed to take care of the animals, the field, the land. That's what they're supposed to do. It says, but have stubbornly followed their own hearts. They got the forehead of a Zanah. And have gone after Baals, as their fathers taught them. Because your father can teach you to go after Baals, and you won't let them go. The names, how they, you won't even, people say, he said, your father taught you that. And guess what? Therefore, thus says Yahuwah of hosts, the Elohim of Yasharal. Behold, I will feed this people with bitter food. Huh? He's going to feed you with wormwood. He's going to feed you with bitter food. Why do you think they gave Yahuwah sour wine at the end? He said, he said, they gave me, my food, they gave me sour wine and poison for my food. It says, and give them poisonous water to drink. Why do you think they gave it to Yahushua? And I will scatter them among the nations, whom neither they nor their fathers have known. And I will send the sword after them, and I will consume them. Right? Right, so this is the book of Yirmiyahu. It's the book of Yirmiyahu. Yirmiyahu chapter 3, verse 6. It says, Yahuwah said to me, this is Yirmiyahu chapter 3, verse 6. Yahuwah said to me, in the days of Josiah, have you not seen what she did, the faithless one, Yasharal? How she went up on every high hill and every green tree, and that played the whore? And I thought after she had done all this, she would return to me. But she did not return, and her treacherous sister Yehuda saw it. And she saw that all of her adulteries of that faithless one Yasharal, I have sent her away with a decree of divorce, because she ain't walking the way I commanded her. he said, I gave her a decree of divorce because she wouldn't stop. Yet her treacherous sister Yehuda did not fear, but she too went and played the whore, Zanah, because she took her whoredom lightly, and she polluted the land, committing adultery with stone and tree. Yet for all this, her treacherous sister Yehuda did not return to me with her whole heart, but in pretense, declares Yahuwah of hosts. And Yahuwah said to me, faithless Yasharal has shown herself more righteous than her treacherous sister Yehuda. Go and proclaim these words to the north and say, return, O faithless Yasharal, and I will look on you in anger, for I am merciful, declares Yahuwah, and I will not be angry forever. So you look at all that. He said, you look at all that. Right, so this is the book of I think it's 1 Samuel. No, let's go to 2 Kings chapter 12, verse 1. 2 Kings chapter 12, verse 1. We got some other books. 2 Kings chapter 12, verse 1. 2 Kings chapter 12, verse 1. In the 7th year of Yahash began to reign, and he reigned 40 years in Jerusalem. And his mother's name was Zibiah of Beersheba. And Yahash did what was right in the eyes of Yahuwah all his days, because Yahuyadah the priest instructed him, right? Because he had to be taught it. Nevertheless, the high places were not taken away, so he still has some sin. The people continued to sacrifice and make offerings on the high places. And Ya'ash said to the priests, all the money of the Qahalath things that is brought into the house of Yahuwah, the money for which each man is assessed, the money from the assessment of persons, and the money that a man's heart prompts him to bring into the house of Yahuwah, let the priest take each from his donor, and let them repair the house, whatever any need of repairs is discovered. He's like, let's get that money and make sure you repair the house, right? But in the 23rd year of King Ya'ash, the priest had not made no repairs on the house. I mean, they were pretending the whole time. They were pretending to get the money, to assess the people, to take the money from the poor, the needy, the rich too. And they were pretending the whole time that they were taking the money. They were pretending. Therefore, King Yoash summoned Yahuyadah and the priests and the other priests and said to them, why are you not repairing the house? Aren't y'all collecting the money? So he calling them out on their sin, on what they doing. He's saying what they do. You accusing us? What you accusing me for? Right? They don't like when you do that, right? He's accusing them. Now therefore, take no money from your donors, but hand it over for the repair of the house. He's like, don't be taking no more money. Give me the money right now, right? You get what they said. So the priests agreed that they should not put no more money they should not take no more money for the people, and that they should not repair the house, which means these people were pretending for so long. And he demanded them give the money, and they didn't even give the money, because they were using it for their own personal gain. And they pretended the whole time as if they were taking money for it's so righteous and this righteous thing that we're doing. The things that we're getting ready to do for you, you're trying to make sure this house stays repaired and do all these things, but in actuality, they pretended the whole time. And guess what happened? Then Yahuyadah the priest took a chest and bored a hole in the lid of it and set it beside the altar on the right side as one entered the house of Yahuwah. And the priest who guarded the threshold put it in it all the money that was brought into the house of Yahuwah. And whenever they saw that there was much money in the chest, the king's secretary and the high priest came up and bagged and counted. Like they already made the same. We ain't gonna collect no more money. And then you know what he said? I'm gonna take this in my own hands. Right? And get what it says. And whenever they saw that there was much money in the chest, the king's secretary and the high priest came up and bagged and counted the money that was found in the house of Yahuwah. Then they would give the money that was weighed out into the hand of the workmen who had the oversight of the house of Yahuwah. And they paid it out to the carpenters and to the builders who worked on the house of Yahuwah, and to the masons and the stone cutters, as well as to buy timber and quarry stone and making repairs on the house of Yahuwah, and for the outlay for the repairing of the house. But there were not made for the house of Yahuwah basins of silver and snuffers and bowls and trumpets, or any of the vessels of gold and silver for the money that was brought into the house of Yahuwah. For that was given to the workmen who were repairing the house of Yahuwah. And they did not ask for an account, accounting from the men into whose hand they delivered the money to pay out the workmen, for they dealt honestly, right? Because they did honestly, because the other people were pretending. But you gotta have an honest heart. They did honestly. It says the money from the guilt offerings and the money from the sin offerings was not brought into the house of Yahuwah; it belonged to the priests. And said, at that time, Hazael, king of Assyria, went up and fought against Gath and took it. But when Hazael set his face to go up to Jerusalem, Joash, the king of Yehuda, took all the sacred gifts that Jehoshaphat and Jeroboam and Ahijah, his fathers, the king of Yehuda, had dedicated, and his own sacred gifts. And guess what happened? And all the gold that was found in the treasures of the house of Yahuwah, and the king and of the king's house, and sent these to Hazael, the king of Assyria. Then Hazael went away from Jerusalem, right? So when people were coming, he said, they coming to take what we got. He said, you know what we got to do? We got to give these people some money. But what's the reason when they come and take? They only coming to take you down because they want some money. So how about we just hurry up and give them some money? Give them some currency, some gold, and guess what happens? They won't leave us alone. He said, wisdom is like the protection of money. That's what people say, wisdom is like protection of money. Verse 19, now the rest of the acts of Joash and all he did, are they not written in the book of Chronicles of Yehuda? Verse 20 says, his servants arose and made a conspiracy and struck down Joash in the house of Milo. He said they made a conspiracy. He said they made a conspiracy and did what? They struck him down. They struck him down, Verse 20, his servants arose and made a conspiracy and struck down Joash in the king of Milo, in the house of Milo, on his way that goes down to Selah. It was Yasakar, the son of Shemiah, and Yahuzabad, the son of Shemer, his servants, who struck him down, so he died. And they buried him in his father, buried him with his fathers in the city of Dawid. And Amaziah, his son, reigned in his place, right? Why? Because when you get to king status, right, you'll always have people who are pretending around you to do what? To kill you. To strike you down. And what happened when they struck him down? His son reigned in his place. But all that's a part of it. But you see how people pretend, people take money, and they pretend as if they're going to do what they were supposed to. But in actuality, they don't do it. Right? So this is the song. This the last couple things. This is the song of, they have the song of God, but first the song of Elohim. Song of Elohim, chapter 11. Actually, let me see. Song of Elohim. Yeah, this is Song of Elohim, Song of God, Song of God, Song of Elohim, chapter 11. Song of Elohim, chapter 11, and verse 36. It says, have you not read how that Xerxes, while he was yet master over all the earth, being king in Persia, granted unto Esther the life of all Yasharal? Right? For this cause do you celebrate the feast of Purim in joy and thanksgiving. That's what they do. For in the woman Esther did Elohim deliver Yasharal from Haman, who desired the death of the Yahudim. Right? So you read in the book of Hadassah, which some people celebrate, but you probably know that's he said that's not a part of 7 celestial circles, but some people do it as a celebration to remember that, right? Even though they wasn't there, right? And it says, why then will you withhold from women the things which are come from Elohim, right? So why would you do that? Have you not read how that in the days of Yehuda, when Josiah was king over Yehuda, there was found in the temple a book of the Torah, which no man knew, not even the Hakan, no Yirmiyahu the Nabi. So they took the book to a woman whose name was Huldah, the prophetess of great renown, and desired that she should tell them from whence it came, whether or not it was truly that book which was come from Meshach. And she delivered unto the king the word of Yahuwah concerning the book, and all Jerusalem also. And it says also, consider again this also. Consider this other also. For there, it says, for there judged in Yasharal Deborah, the wife of Labadoth, and she called unto Barak that he might save Yasharal from the hand of Sisera. Yet would Barak not go forth except that Deborah should stand beside him in the day of battle. And Deborah by her faithfulness unto Elohim and Yasharal delivered the nation from evil. Which of you therefore, being men, having done like these women, who being elected of Elohim delivered unto all Yasharal the word of Yahuwah? Consider then the strength wherein the woman is fashioned, right? So we read all these things about Zanah woman, right? You see all the evil that one can come from the speech of a woman, but you also see the evil that can come from your neighbor, your men also. But then also you can see there are many acts in Torah that women have done. You know, women came to the beginning of sin, right? Which is also of a truth, but then also you have to see Mashiach in it as well. But it said right here, consider then the strength therein wherein the woman is fashioned, for she being frail and comely, yet by her beauty and her grace, does she humble the mighty, or exalt on high the lowest of men, if it so be that they should love her. Right, so all this is all part of it. Right? Verse 47, for the women are as the wind which comes from above, causing all things to move before them. And men, though stout and mighty as yonder tree, yet are they moved when there should breathe upon them some small wind. So just like you see the trees in the tall trees that are strong, he said the women's breath, he said the feminine is like the breath that comes and it blows against the top of the trees and makes the top of the trees move at the top, even though the trees are very strong. But it says right here, thus in the affairs of men are women made the stronger, for if a woman be good and an evil, it says, for a woman be good and an evil man love her, then by her love does she make the man good also. So the woman is Zanah and loud and wayward. What happens to the man? If she ain't good and he evil, but if she evil and he good, what's going to happen to him? He going to become evil. That's what's going to happen to him. If he don't leave, he going to become evil. And you know what's going to happen when we become evil? You know what's going to happen when we become evil? Right? So this is the book of Sirach, I believe. This is the book of Sirach. I think it's... this is the book of Sirach. I think it's Sirach chapter 26, 22. Sirach 26, 22. It says, Sirach 26:22. Sirach 26:22. Sirach 26:20. When thou art gotten a fruitful possession, all the field sow it with thine own seed, trusting in the goodness of thy own stock. Right? It's the same thing when a man sows seed in a woman. Right? So thy race, which thou leavest, shall be magnified, and having the confidence of their good descent. It says, and the harlot shall be accounted as spittle. Right? Just like you see. These are not women. But a married woman is a tower against the death of her husband. It's a tower. A wicked woman is given to a portion to a wicked man. Why would he say that? And it says, but a righteous, godly woman is given to him that feareth Yahuwah. Why? He said, why would he say that? It says right here in verse 49, 11:49, thus the affairs of men are women made the stronger. And if the woman be good and an evil, it says, and an evil man love her, because evil man can't love a woman that's good, then by her love does she make a man good also. So she said your behavior will make a man good. He said, I want a good man. I got an evil man. But he said, your behavior doesn't make him a good man. He said, return nobody evil for evil. But if you have evil in your heart, and your husband evil, what do you think gonna happen? But if you have good in your heart, what do you think gonna happen to him? But it says right here, then by her love does she make the man good also. For her desires is to please her. Her desires to please her above all else. So that's all he wants to do. But if a woman be evil, and a good man love her, who then can save him? He said, who gonna save him from being evil? Do you know what's gonna happen to him? A wicked woman is giving his portion to a wicked man. What do you think gonna happen to him? She gonna turn him evil. She gonna make him wicked. She gonna turn him and make him wicked by her behavior. And guess what happens? Who gonna save him? It says, contend no more because of women. He said, don't even contend no more with it. Why? Because of a woman. Whether they be worthy to receive from Yahuwah Elohim a portion equal to men, for I will elect whom I will. This is Yahushua talking. He's like, man, what y'all doing? Of course, it's evil, good. If everybody just do good, you won't have to worry about everything I just said. But being that you have good and evil, and you have the knowledge of good and evil, so therefore, he said, man, don't contend with women no more. You know why he said that? Whether they be worthy to receive from Yahuwah Elohim a portion equal to men, for I will elect whom I will. He said, when Yahuwah started electing people, you can't do anything. And get what he said. Neither pray you unto Elohim, saying, I thank you, O Elohim, that I am not a woman. He said, don't even do that. And we just read all these things about a woman. You pretending women, pretending how they seduce you, how they get you in adultery, make you go to hell, like throw your whole life in the garbage. And man, matter of fact, create you into a victim. Matter of fact, they can do all type pretend. They can do all of that. But he said, don't even do that. He said, neither pray unto Yahuwah Elohim, saying, I thank you, O Elohim, I am not a woman, for it is an offense unto him. You know what you just did? Let us make man in his own image, and Adam in his own image and likeness. And let him have authority of the fish of the sea, the God, the Burmese, the oath, and the behemoth. But all the earth. And Yahuwah made man, Adam, in his own image. The image of Yahuwah, he made him. He made Adam, male and female. Who do you think you offended? You are offending the image and likeness of Yahuwah when you say that. That's who you offended. He said, why he don't trust nobody? Yahuwah don't think like us. Right? He don't think like us. Right? But it said right here, neither pray you unto Elohim saying, I thank you, O Elohim, I am not a woman, for it is an offense unto him. For in the beginning, here we go, did Yahuwah create both male and female, that you may be one flesh before Yahuwah. Why? Because without his name, Yahuwah, the woo joined to a aha, you ain't going to understand the rest of this. Because the feminine side of it, you need in order to understand the finished product. How you say? You know how you say? It is finished. How you going to understand it? We got planting and harvesting season in the first month and the seventh month. How you going to understand that in the beginning of the first day all the way to the seventh day? Because the first month is the planting and harvesting, and you got the first period, then you got the seventh period. How you going to understand that? If you get rid of that, then you ain't going to understand how to even understand the feminine side of this thing, because it's the feminine side. You can't get rid of a man, because you get rid of a man, you ain't gonna understand it. You can't get rid of a woman. If you get rid of her, then guess what? You ain't gonna understand the rest either. And then it says, neither pray unto you saying, I thank Yahuwah Elohim that I am not a woman, for it is an offense unto me. For in the beginning did Yahuwah Elohim create both male and female, that you may be one flesh before Yahuwah. Therefore, when you enter the woman to cast forth seed, be you filled with reverence and deep affection, for she is the temple wherein Elohim has fashioned life of man. Now an adulterous woman, is it not? You know what happens after that? The woman said, let us take our fill of love, because you know what happens. You know what happens after that. And it says right here, whosoever shall receive one of mine, even so shall they receive me. Right, verse 56. And whosoever rejects one whom I have chosen, even so shall they reject me also. And there shall be found for them neither room nor place in the kingdom of Elohim. He said what? There shall be neither place or room nor found a place in them in the kingdom of Yahuwah. He said, how you gonna be in the kingdom? You just offended the both male in the beginning, like the whole thing. How you gonna get in there? He said, you ain't gonna be here. Yahuwah, like, you're not gonna be here. Outside Adam, yeah. You know, when I was talking about Malachim, we said, let us make Adam in our own image and like. So you saying you gonna start talking about what I created like that? People say, why you give people up? Right, this is not, right, and it says right here, verse 57, these then are the words which Yahusha spoke for women's sake. And guess what it says? And all men marveled because of them. And when he had finished speaking, there was brought to him from the city a blind man desiring to be healed. He mean his 7 eyes done went blind. And what happened after his 7 eyes went blind? Because he was lacking sense. Couldn't see. He said, you got them 6 things you hate, 7 are abomination. He said, your eyes closed. You blind. And guess what he did? He was desiring to be healed from that. He said, are you desiring to be healed from that? And he says, and taking the blind man by the hand, he led him to the sea and filled his hands with water. He led him to the sea. In that, the place where you walk on that sand, it be hot, you'll burn your feet. Woo, it's hot. And guess what he did? And filling his hands with water, with the yam water, the sea water, he cleansed the man's eyes and asked him, what do you see after that? What you see? Because that's the whole point. What do you see? Right? He said, what do you see? And guess what he said? And the blind man, looking back from whence he came, said, I see men as shadows walking about the earth. Right? He said, I see men walking about the earth. And when Yahushua heard this, he placed his hands upon his eyes to Barak, and behold, the man saw every man clearly. Right? In some translations say, I see men as trees. He said he saw clearly, and Yahuwah sent him again to his own house, rejoicing and praising Yahuwah, Elohim. And the next day there came out from the city a multitude of people to hear the master and he taught them by the seashore. He said he taught him by the sea. He said everybody came out, right? So this is, he said, why would you see that? This pattern is, he said, why would he say that? Right, so this is the book of Yirmiyahu. We almost finished. This is the last couple things. This is the book of Yirmiyahu. It's a lot more. This is the book of Yirmiyahu. I think it's the book of Yirmiyahu. Jeremiah. Yeah. It's the book of Yirmiyahu. This is the book of Yirmiyahu, chapter 5, verse 21. Yirmiyahu, chapter 5, verse 21. Hear this, O foolish and senseless people. He said, lacking sense. Can you know if he thought I saw a man lacking sense? Who have eyes but see not. He said, you can't see this, can you? Who have ears but hear not. Do not fear me. Do you not fear me, declares Yahuwah? Do you not tremble before me? I placed the sand as the boundary for the sea. I did that. A perpetual barrier that it cannot pass. And though the waves toss, they cannot prevail. Though they roar, they cannot pass over it. But guess what happened? But this people has a stubborn and rebellious heart. And they have turned aside and gone away. They do not say in their hearts, let us fear Yahuwah Elohim, who gives rain in its season, the autumn rain and the spring rain. That's in the first month and the seventh month. You know, first day, always the seventh day. And keeps for us the weeks appointed for harvest. Your iniquities have turned these away, and your sins have kept good from you. Right? But why would he say that? He said, he brought him by the sea and took the water out of the sea. And he opened his eyes. He said, what you see? I see men as shadows. He said, I see men as shadows. And guess what happens? He said, why would he say that? Right, so this is the book of, he said, I see men as shadows, right? Right. So this is the book of Song of Solomon. Song of Solomon, chapter 2, verse 15. Yeah, two more things that I'm doing. Two more. Song of Solomon, chapter 2, verse 16. My beloved is mine, and I am his. He grazes among the lilies. So when the lilies come, in the summertime. Until the day breathes and the shadow flees. What happens? When does the shadow flee? When the sun is gone. Turn, my beloved, be like a gazelle and a young stag on the clefts of the mountains. He said, turn. Right, verse 1 says, on my bed by night I sought him whom my soul loves. He said, who are you seeking? Are you seeking a Zanah? Are you seeking other things in the second and third watch? I'm seeking whom my soul loves. I sought him, but found him not. Because you got to continue to seek. And I will rise now and go about the city, in the streets, and in the squares, and I will seek him whom my soul loves. Isn't that what the woman did? The woman, the Zanah, she was in the streets and in the market. She rose at night. She doing this all at night. In the second and third watch, I'm gonna get up. I'm finna go find the person I love. And she said, I decked my bed with cinnamon and aloes and the things of Mizraim. And you know what? Let's take off a little love tonight, because I'm seeking out the person I love. But for some reason, this person got up from her bed and said, I'm seeking out the person I love. I sought him but found him not. And guess what happened? After you start doing that, he says, the watchmen found me as they went about in the city. Have you seen him whom my soul loves? She asked him a question. You seen him whom my soul loves? Scarcely had I passed them when I found him whom my soul loves. I held him and would not let him go until I had brought him into my mother's house. And into the chamber of her whom conceived me. Right. He said, I sought him. He said, the watchmen found me, and as they went about in the city, have you seen him whom my soul loves? Scarcely had I passed them. When I found him whom my soul loves, I held him and would not let him go until I had brought him into my mother's house. Why she bring him to my mother's house? Into the chamber of her whom conceived me. I adjure you, O daughters of Jerusalem, by the gazelles or the does of the field, that you not stir up or awaken love until it pleases. He said, don't do that. He said, until it pleases. Right? Why? Because how you know this? He said, why would you? And there's a reason why I'm saying this, right? So this is the last couple of things. This is the last thing. Right, this is the book of 1 John, Aleph Ukanan. 1 John 3:21. 1 John, Aleph Ukanan 3:21. Beloved, if our heart condemn, he says, let's go up to verse 19. 1 John, they say Aleph or Akkad Ukanan 3:19. By this we shall know that we are of the truth, and to reassure our hearts before him. For whenever our hearts condemn us, Yahuwah Elohim is greater than our heart, and he knows everything. Beloved, if our heart does not condemn us, we have confidence before Elohim, and whatever we ask, we receive from him, because we keep his commandments and do what pleases him. She's like, Song of Solomon is like, she rose in the middle of the night and she went to go seek out the person she loved. And she asked the watchman, where's the person I love? And when she found the person that she loves, you know what happened after that? She brought that person that she loves back to her mother's house that conceives her. But then he said, I adjure you, don't stir up your love until it pleases. Why? Because the man you're going to bring into your house, to your mother, he said, make sure that person does the things that please Yahuwah. Right? Because you know what happens when you as a nun and you don't abide in your house and you leave and you're going to seek out the person you love. You're going to seek out a person that's lacking sense, and you married. And you're going to bring that person back to your house, and you're going to destroy your souls. And you know what happens after that? None of you will go unpunished. He said, how would you know that? He said, you will never go unpunished, right? Right, so this is the book of... Right, so this is the pseudepigrapha. Pseudepigrapha. Wow. This is pseudepigrapha. This is the... Not going there. This Apocalypse of Adam. Pseudepigrapha. Apocalypse of Adam. Apocalypse of Adam. Let's see. Apocalypse of Adam. Apocalypse of Adam, chapter 3, and verse 12. They will be like the cloud of great light. Those men will come. The ones will stand in the presence of Nuach and the Aeons. And Elohim will say to Nuach, why have you departed from what I told you? You have created another race in order that you might scorn my power. Then Nuach will reply, I shall bear witness before your might that it is not from me that the race of these men has come, nor from my sons. Verse 17. And he will release those men and bring them into their proper land. Right? It says, build them a Chdsh dwelling place, and they will call by the name and will dwell there 600 years in the knowledge of imperishability. Right? And the Malachim of the great light will dwell with them. Nothing abominable will be in their hearts, but only the knowledge of Yahuwah. He said nothing abominable will be in their heart. Why? Because in their heart they're devising wicked plans. In their mind, they have the wrong mindset. They're laid, the teacher of their body. And when you have abominable things in your heart, it'll be abominations. And all 7 of your near, or 6 things are abominations, 7 are abominations, it'll take over your whole mind. Take over all 7 celestial circles. And by the time harvest time comes, when you have the first month all the way to the first period all the way to the 7th, you ain't gonna have nothing. This is chapter 4, and it says, then Nuach will divide all earth among his sons, Ham, Japheth, and Shem, and he will say to them, my sons, hear my words. Behold, I have divided the earth among you, but serve him in fear and in subjection all the days of your life. And do not let your seed depart from the face of Yahuwah Elohim Almighty. Then Shem, the son of Nuach, will say, my seed will be pleasing before you and before your power. Put a seal on it. Put a seal on it. Taba'ah. And get what it says. And with your strong hand in fear and commandment, so that all the seed that has come forth from me will not be inclined away from you. You're going to go away from you. And get what happens. And Elohim, from you and Elohim the Almighty, but they will serve in humility and fear of their knowledge. But get what it says. Then from the seed of Ham and Japheth others will go, 400,000 men, and will enter into another land and sojourn with those men who came forth from the great eternal knowledge, from the shadow of their power, and will guard those who have sojourned among them from evil, from every evil deed and every foul desire. Then the seed of Ham and Japheth will make 12 kingdoms, and their other seed will enter the kingdom of another people. The Aeon, it says, the great Aeon imperishability. Right? The only reason we went there is for this reason. Right? They said they're going to dwell in the knowledge, he said, in all humility, in the knowledge of Elohim, and nothing abominable won't be in their hearts. Right, so this is the book of Deuteronomy chapter 6. Deuteronomy chapter 6. Verse 4. It says, hear, O Yasharal, Yahuwah your Elohim, Yahuwah is one. Akkad. And you shall love Yahuwah your Elohim with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. And these words I command you today shall be on your heart. they should be on your heart. You shall teach them diligently to your children, and you shall talk with them when you sit in the house, when you walk by the way, when you lie down, when you rise up. And you shall bind them as a sign, a oath on your hand, and they shall be as frontlets between your eyes. You shall write them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates. And when Yahuwah your Elohim brings you to the land that he swore to your fathers, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, to give you the great and good cities that you did not build, and the houses full of good things that you did not fill, and cisterns that you did not dig, and vineyards and olives that you did not plant. And when you eat and are full, to take care lest you forget Yahuwah, your Elohim, who brought you out of the land of Mizraim, out of the house of slavery. It is Yahuwah your Elohim whom you shall fear. Him you shall serve. By his name you shall swear. But if you don't know his name, what's going to happen to you? You shall not go after other gods and the gods of the people who are around you. For Yahuwah your Elohim is in the midst, is a jealous, For Yahuwah Elohim is in your midst. He's where? He's in your midst. Is a jealous Elohim, lest his anger of Yahuwah your Elohim be kindled against you, and he destroy you from the face of the earth. Where is he at the midst of? He inside of you. Because you speaking these words when you sit out, walk by, when you lie and rise up. And he said, to whom will I look? Him with a poor and contrite heart and needy. He said, that's the person I'm looking to build my house. And when he in the midst of you, guess what happens? If you do anything opposite of what he says, then he said he'll destroy you from the face of the earth. He said, why would he do that? You shall not put Yahuwah your Elohim to the test. Then he said, I'm going to test it. He said, I ain't got nothing to do but test my people to see if they really actually love me or not. He said, as you tested him in Masah, you shall diligently keep my commandments of Yahuwah your Elohim and his testimonies and his statutes which he has commanded you. And you shall do what is right and good in the sight of Yahuwah, that it may go well with you, that you may go and take possession of the good land that Yahuwah swore to give your fathers, by thrusting out your enemies from before you, as Yahuwah promised you. Right. So this is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 20, Exodus, Shemuth, chapter 20. Exodus 20, Shemuth, verse 1. And it says, and Elohim spoke all these words, I am Yahuwah, your Elohim, who brought you out of the land of Mizraim, out of the house of slavery. He said, I brought you out of the land of slavery. But notice they always want to send people back to Mizraim. Even Yusuf's brother, even the woman had Egyptian Mizraim cotton in her bed. But all these are a part of it. You shall not have other gods before me. Thou shalt not, right? It says, you shall not make for yourself a carved image or any likeness of anything that is in the Sharim above, on the earth beneath, or in the water under the earth. You shall not bow down and serve them, for Yahuwah your Elohim is a jealous Elohim, visiting iniquity of the fathers upon the children to the third and fourth generation, to those who hate me, but showing steadfast love to thousands of those who love me and keep my commandments. You shall not take the name of Yahuwah your Elohim in vain. He said you got to swear by it. For Yahuwah your Elohim will not hold him guilty who takes his name in vain. Remember the Shabath day to keep it Qahalath. 6 days you shall you labor and do all your work. But the 7th day is the Shabbat of Yahuwah your Elohim. On it you shall not do any work. You nor your sons and your daughters and your male servants, nor your female servants, nor your livestock, nor the sojourner between your gates. For in 6 days Yahuwah your Elohim made the Sharims in the earth, and in them for 6 things Yahuwah hates. And rested the Shabbat day, and 7 are abomination. How you gonna know all your abominations? Because 6 days you did all of that, and then when the 7th day comes, he said, I already got the commandment to destroy you from the face of the earth, because I'm keeping away the tree of life. But he said, the tree of life, he said, don't eat from the tree that's in the midst of you. Neither shall you touch it. Why would he say that? And get what he says. Therefore, Yahuwah Elohim barak the Shabbat day and made a Qahalath. Honor your father and your mother, that your days may be long in the land that Yahuwah your Elohim is giving you. You shall not murder, and you shall not commit adultery. He said you shouldn't do it. But why would he say, don't touch the tree we just talked about at the beginning? It's in the midst of the garden. Because the day you eat of it, you shall surely die. Matter of fact, the serpent said, you'll be like gods, knowing good and evil, right? All right, so this is the book of, this is the last thing I'm doing. This is the book of, this is the book of Yuchanan chapter 20, verse 11. The Yuchanan chapter 20 and verse 11. It says, but Mariam stood weeping outside the tomb, and as she wept, she stooped to look in the tomb, and she saw two Malachim in white. They were sitting in white, sitting where the body of Yahushua had lain, one at the head and one at the feet. And they said to her, woman, why are you weeping? He said, why are you weeping? And she said to them, they have taken my master, and I do not know where they have laid him. So she's seeking something. She's seeking something. Right? Having said this, she turned around and saw Yahushua standing. But she did not know that it was Yahushua. And Yahushua said to her, woman, why are you weeping? And whom are you seeking? Didn't we just read in Psalm something? He said, I saw a man. I saw a watchman. Matter of fact, I saw a watchman. And I asked him, said, where is the person I love? She said, where is the man? Because she rose at night. And she said, where is the person I love? Where is the person I love? Remember, the Zanah woman, she rose at night and she was looking for the person she was going to commit adultery with. But this woman is like, where is the person that I love? And guess what happened? Supposing him to be the gardener. Oh. So she was in the garden. She was in the garden. And guess what happened? And she said to him, sir, if you have carried him away, tell me where you have laid him, and I will take him away. I'm looking for the person I love. So he's talking to Yahushua after this. Because he that watchman that Song of Solomon was talking about. And she was like, I'm looking for the person I love. Where you took him at? She said, where you taking him at? That I may take him away. Because where's you going to bring him at? To her mother's house where she was conceived. Because this was Mary, his mother. And she was going to take him to the place, the place where she conceived him at. She's going to take him back to the house. I'm going to take you back to my mother's house. Where he at? So I can take him back to my mother's house. But guess what he said? And Yahushua said to her, Mary. And she turned and said to him in Aramaic, Rabbani, which means teacher. And Yahushua said to her, do not cling to me, for I have not ascended to my Father. He said, don't you cling to me, for I have not descended to my Father. But go to my brothers and say to them, I am ascending to my Father and your Father, and my Elohim, your Elohim. And Mary Magdalene went and announced to the disciples, I have seen Yahuwah, and that he had said these things to her. So that word for cling in Yuchanan chapter 20, in verse 16, that word for cling in John chapter 20, in verse 16, the word for cling in John chapter 20, verse 16, I think that's the verse. Yeah, stupid. Yeah. The word for cling is haptameh. She said it means, haptameh means properly oneself, that is, to touch. He said, don't you touch me. Why would he say, don't touch me? Because in the midst of the garden, there was a tree. In the midst of the garden, he said, don't you touch it. The day you touch it, he said, you shall surely eat of it, and the day you touch it, you shall surely die. And when he said it, he was supposing that he was a gardener. She's like, remember, Yahushua was laid in the garden, and it was a garden where it was a tomb where no man had laid. And he said, and when he rose him out, you know what happens when you lay something in the ground, it gets up, it springs up, and he's like, don't touch me. Why? Because I'm that tree in the midst of the garden. Then you know that tree you weren't supposed to touch. He said, he said, we shall neither eat from it, neither shall you touch it. For the day you eat of it, you shall surely die. He's like, don't touch me. Even though you found the things that you're looking for, it ain't time for you to, don't touch me. Because you know why? Because I got to go back to my father. He said, I got to go back to my father. Why? Why would he say that? This is the last thing. He said, why would he say that? Right? Why would he say that? Right, so this is the book of, because there's a reason why he said that. There's a reason why he said that. There is a reason why. Right, this is the book of Genesis. This is the book of Genesis. This is the book of Genesis. Yep, this is the book of Genesis. This is the book of Genesis, chapter 28. Actually, 22. This is the book of Genesis, chapter 22. Yeah, book of Genesis, chapter 22. Let's go to Genesis, chapter 22, and verse. Actually, let's go. Actually, that's not it. Let's go. Let's scroll through 19. Yeah, let's go to Genesis chapter 15, verse. This is Genesis chapter 15 and verse 17. Genesis chapter 15, 17. It said, when the sun had gone down, it was dark, and he built a smoking pot and a flaming torch, passing between these pieces. And on that day, Yahuwah made a covenant with Abram, saying, to your offspring I will give this land, from the river Mizraim to the great river Euphrates, and the land of the Kenites, the Kedemites, the Hittites, and the Perizzites, and the Rephaim, the Amorites, the Canaanites, the Girgashites, and the Jebusites. Right? Skipping over verse 16 and 1. Now Sarah, Abram's wife, had borne him no children, and she had a female Egyptian servant whose name was Hagar. How he get Hagar? Going to verse 14, chapter 14 and verse 14 and yeah. Actually 12. Yeah. 12 and verse 17. And it says right here, but Yahuwah afflicted Pharaoh, this 12 and 15, in his house with a great plague because of Sarah, Abram's wife. Why? Because he took somebody's wife and he was getting ready to commit adultery. So Pharaoh called Abram and said, what is this that you have done? Why did you not tell me that she was your wife? Why? What's going to happen if he didn't know that he was his wife? You're going to touch her. And what's going to happen after that? Why did you say she was my sister? So that I took her for my wife. Now then, here is your wife. Take her and go. And Pharaoh gave men orders concerning that sent him away, and his wife that sent him away with his wife and all he had. Why? Because if he touched her, she was going to be defiled. She was going to be defiled. That was what do you think was going to happen if he would have touched Yahusha? She would have touched Yahusha. She would have been defiled. He would have been defiled. He would have been defiled. He would have been defiled, right? All that's a part of it. Right, so this is the book of, I'm just talking for a while. Let me stop. Right, so this is the book of, we're almost finished. Let me stop. Right, so this is the book of Genesis. The book of Genesis, we're almost finished. This is the book of Genesis, chapter 28. Let's go to 28. Let's go to 28. 28 and 15. 28 and 15. Book of Genesis, chapter 28 and 15. Book of Bereshith, Genesis, chapter 28. Book of Genesis, chapter 28 and 15. Bereshith 28 and 15. Behold, it says, behold, I am with you to keep you wherever you go, and to bring you back to this land. For I will not leave you until you have done what I have promised you. Right. So you look at everything that you do. He said, I ain't gonna do anything till I do what I have promised you. Then Jacob awoke from his sleep and said, surely Yahuwah is in this place. I did not know it. And he was afraid and said, how awesome is this place? This is no other than the house of Yahuwah Elohim, and this is the gate of Shamayim. Right. So all this took place at night. And then what happened? So early in the morning, Jacob took a stone and took a stone that had been put under his head and set as a pillar and poured oil upon it. And he called the name of that place Bethel, and the name of that city Luz. And Jacob made a vow saying, if Elohim will be with me and will keep me in the way I should go, and will give me bread to eat and clothing to wear, so that I come again to my father's house in shalom in peace. Then Yahuwah will be my Elohim, and this stone which I have set you as for a pillar shall be Yahuwah's house. This Abyb is following the Son, and all that you give me, I will give you a full tenth to you. He said, I'll give you a full tenth, right? So why would he say that, right? Right, so this is 1 Corinthians. This is 1 Corinthians. This is 1 Corinthians. Actually, 1 Timothy. 1 Timothy chapter 6 and verse 1 Timothy chapter 6 and verse 6. 1 Timothy 6 and 6. But godliness with contentment is great gain. For we brought nothing into this world, and we cannot take anything out of the world. But if we have food and clothing, with these we will be content. Why do you think Jacob said that? He said, if I have food and raiment, and he just bring you to my house, his house in Shalom, he said, this house is Yahuwah's house, right? But it said right here, with these we'll be content. But those who desire to be rich will fall into temptation, into a snare, into many senseless and harmful desires that plunge people into ruin and destruction. Right? For the love of money is the root of all kinds of evil. It says, it is through this craving that some have wandered away from Amunah and pierced themselves with many pains. Right? But as for you, O man of Elohim, flee these things. Man or woman, pursue righteousness, godliness, faith, Amunah, love, steadfastness, and gentleness. Fight the good fight of Amunah. take hold of eternal life, to which you were called, and about which you made the good confession in the presence of many witnesses. I charge you in the presence of Elohim, who gives life to all things, of Mashiach Yahusha, who in his testimony before Pontius Pilate made a good confession, to keep the commandment unstained and free from reproach until the appearing of the Master Yahushua Mashiach, which he will display at the proper time. He who is Barak and only sovereign, the King of kings and Masters of masters, who alone has immortality, who dwells in unapproachable light, whom no one has ever seen or can see. To him honor and dominion forever and ever. Right, so we look at all that. We look at Yahushua Mashiach. We look at how he said not being a pretender within our heart and our mind, allowing our heart and our mind now become blinded. And if we become blinded, we acknowledge that we're blind, that one can see. That Yahuwah made, he said, just like he said, take the water from the sea and open your eyes. And he said, how do you see men? I see men as shadows. I see men as trees. But he said, let me open your eyes a little clearly. He said, I see men as they are. Right? So we look at ourselves as that being, that inner being, that person on the inside that needs Yahuwah Elohim within oneself continually. So we look at ourselves, we look at Yahuwah's image and likeness. We look at, he say, not being as an eye, and I say moving forward in this 364-day cycle with the proper mindset. Because without the proper mindset, you're going to find yourself doing all the abominations that Yahuwah hates. And this is the time to do it, because this is the time where everything starts to grow. And the sun now comes back on the 7 celestial circles, and now everything starts to move and everything starts to sprout up. And if you don't have the right proper mindset, you're going to find yourself doing things you should not do. But this is the time for it. So we look at everything that's happening. We look at everything dashed on the third day of creation, and everything that sprung up on the third day of creation. But the sun was not created yet until the fourth day. But we know on the fourth day when the sun was created, it allowed us to understand, how you say, days, seasons, months, and years. How you say, Aydah, how you say, signs, seasons, days, months, and years. And Shana, and Muaz, and times, and seasons, right? All these are a part of what? Our life. And when we see all these things, then we understand why in 6 days, Yahuwah did all his work in the seventh he rested. But we look at ourselves, and we are not of the world, but we live in the world. And by living in the world, we know, by living in the world, there are many things that can come at one time. And we should not forget the teaching of our commandments of our father and the teaching of our mother. But we forget the teaching of our mother and the commandment of our father, then we will find ourselves doing things and having understandings and saying things out of our mouth that we should not say, and loving things that we should not love, and desiring things that we should not desire. For all these things are a part of it, right? So this is Aleph Yukanan 1:2-24. Let what you've heard from the beginning abide in you. This is 1 John 2:24. And if what you heard from the beginning abides in you, inside of you, inside of your heart and mind. So we look at our heart and our mind as that dwelling place. Then you too will be in the Son and in the Father, and that stone. And Yahuwah is going to do everything until you do everything Yahuwah promised you. Right? You be in the Son and in the Father. And this is the promise he has made to us, because you got to do everything. He said, I'm not going to stop until you do everything I promised you. Because you're going to do everything I promised you. You have to do everything Yahuwah promised you. And this is the promise he has made to us, eternal life. He said, if you bring me to my house, you bring me back to your father, you give me food and clothing. He said, I'll be content. Why? Because all this are a part of attaining salvation. So this is the mindset of your code. And you think about the mindset of Adam after he fell. Right? Because when Adam fell, he only gave him clothes to put on and he gave him the food to eat. And the only thing Adam desired was to return back to the garden where he was cast out from. So we look at ourselves to that image and likeness, and you say not to slander and make an offense against Yahuwah's image and likeness. For not to say even in our heart, I'm glad I'm not a woman. For if you say these things, you'll cause an offense against Yahuwah, and he made man in his image, both male and female. And without the feminine side, you won't see the rest. You won't be able to see your iron. You won't be able to sprout no blossoms or almond blossoms that you may see with your 7 eyes. For all these are a part of the 364-day cycle. As we move along the 364-day cycle, they say the light of life, he said, will it shine in you? Will your lamp continually burn? Will your 7 eyes, your 7 near continually burn? Or will you allow yourself to become senseless and lacking sense and lose sight on eternal life? Say, Barak are they who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they shall be filled. And Barak are the meek with self-control. If you don't have self-control, you'd be like this Zanah woman who lost all self-control. And you won't inherit eternal life. Because the only people that's going to inherit eternal life are the meek with self-control. For they shall inherit the earth. The meek shall inherit the earth.